Okay, so this is recording so that we can post it for the public. So it's recording so everyone knows it's recording.
All right, we're going to call this meeting to order at 7:08. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, going on. Call the roll, Charlie.
Okay. Olivia Quintero.
Here.
Vito Campanelli.
Here.
Remote. Okay. Winifred Rodriguez.
Here.
Shannon Johnson.
Here.
Sharon Anderson.
Here.
And George Torres.
Here.
And Marjubisa.
Here.
Okay, moving on. Communications. Charlie, do we have any communications other than the FOIA? Just in the public attendance?
Just the FOIA.
Okay. And then superintendent's report.
I just want to say that I'm working with the union right now, the teachers union, in the scenarios for possibilities at school for next year. The state will be giving us some guidance, we're hoping soon. But we're starting to discuss different dynamics so we can see. We're using a couple of models, CDC and the AFT recommendations to come back to school.
Is that if it's you're talking with them about if we actually have kids in the building?
Or
both.
Whatever it's
Whatever.
There's three models being looked at now. Complete return in person, a hybrid of online versus in person, and then completely remote. So we're going to look at just discussable items and then not get too far, because when the guidance comes, we don't want to jump ahead too far and then have to redo different plans.
And it's a hybrid of in person and remote learning, not versus. So it would be like part of the day in person, part of the class, and so that you guys probably do like the ABC scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what all the school districts are doing right now because they don't know what's going on.
All right. Moving on.
Well, I have another question. It's not to do with that. One of it is, I noticed that we're having some kind of summer school program. Okay, so are those our teachers that are teaching the summer school program? It is.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and will kids still? I had a call today. Will kids still be able to come for lunches like we did at regular summer school?
We're going to continue the way we're going, which is, I think, a little bit more accessible than in the past. I'm not sure what's been done in the past, but we'll continue the same
Tuesday,
process we're
Thursday
doing
thing?
now. Yes.
Okay. The other thing I had is I looked at the agenda, of course, and there was no closed session, and this item didn't appear. We all received an email from Chris Newell, director of the preschool, and in that, and I'm not going to read it to you, but in there she asks for compensation for the comp days that she has routinely gotten. And that started a long time ago. She's on a teacher contract, not teacher contract, administrative contract, but she works the same days as the teachers. But she comes in for registration, she comes in to set the class, she puts extra time in. And what the superintendent and the board has always done is she keeps track of her comp time, and then it's sent into the whoever payroll is, and then she's given that amount of money. And so I guess my question is, when are we going to talk about that and decide what we're doing?
I sought guidance from council. I got a response today, just not long ago. So right now I have to go back and read that.
Okay.
I'm a little behind on my emails today, so I'll go ahead and look at that, and then I'll relay what it says, and then see what a plan of action will be from there.
Okay, because I also noticed that we're not talking about a director, and I have parents that are worried that you're going to do away with the pre-K program that she
Should
ran.
post it today.
Okay.
I have a quick super question. We haven't had a bud since March 6th, and I know we're obviously not going to get school reports, but I'm assuming curriculum's still working and planning out next year. Special ed, I'm sure, is still planning out for next year. Maintenance should be starting summer projects early, probably. So we haven't gotten a bud since March 6th, and now today's May. could be getting one anytime soon, so we know what's going on.
Absolutely, and they are still working at the buildings as well, so
Yeah.
there's a lot going on. So yeah, I mean, if that's a desire of the board, then.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one way to keep it going, because I would assume that you, and we're going to be talking about this later, of reducing the enforce of the aides, yet you made reference to the special ed audit report, and we haven't seen it. And I was pretty sure that you had said we would, when it was done, and she was going to go over it, and, you know, at the end of May, we haven't seen it.
What kind of keeps us from feeling like we're kept in the dark?
I have a question for you. One of the concerned parents outside during our walk-in, our grand walk-in, had asked me in regard to the teachers that you're hiring. I don't know the background on the teachers here, so I don't know if they're coming in as brand new, or the people that are coming in, or if they're coming from a different school. But I told her I would let you know, letting you know because it's on record, because it will be said that I didn't say nothing where I did, and now that it's on record. So she didn't give me her name, so there's no way for you to reference it, but saying it bravo.
The teachers on the agenda? Is that who
She
they were
was talking about the people that were being hired, teachers, principal, the people that are on here. So
Oh, there's two people, I see what you're saying.
So Winifred, if you click on the recommendation, you'll see on the bottom, it'll say like replacement for,
And
or
the
stuff like
ones
that.
that I was reading were from either Ms. Smith, Christian Smith, the principal, and someone else.
Right.
So basically, these are people that are within the district or working already, and they don't know it.
No, they're not, they're
The
brand new.
recommendations are new to the district.
Oh,
These were
Yeah.
vacancies that we got recommendations and went through the process to fill
Yeah.
the position.
If they just moved a building to building, we wouldn't have to approve that, the superintendent does it, right?
But we approve just
Thank you.
new people.
Right.
Moving on with public comment. Public comment shall occur only in the manner presented by section B, paragraph 4 of the resolution authorizing the Lions School District 1 and 2 Board of Education meetings occurring during the COVID-19 pandemic adopted on March 17, 2020. Do we have any public comment?
We do. I actually wanted to make sure we were recording, so I gave it to Felicia, but, okay, so, public comment. Valerie Fasselt, GWMS current. I am mortified that this school board majority and that you, Mr. Rivera, as the superintendent, would rehire Dr. Baker. Not only did she mishandle an asbestos issue costing the district nearly $100,000, she lied to the school board to try and cover it up. She also resigned 1 month into a fiscal year and then sued our district to collect money for the other 11 months' worth of vacation days, showing how selfish she is and how little she cares about our students and our staff. To the board majority members, when you campaigned and then swore your oaths, you made promises to do what was right for the students of this district. Please use your heads and your hearts to do what is right, and that is to vote no on Dr. Baker because she is not a suitable candidate for either position, let alone both. There is no way she will be able to juggle the responsibilities of both jobs without sacrificing the quality of the job needed to be the principal of 800 impressionable middle school students. Vote no, thank you. Next, my name is Nathan Westfall. I am a parent. While Dr. Baker was superintendent of our district, there were issues at GWMS. There were 2 to 3 months of no speech pathologists to meet required by law minutes. And not only did she not address the situation, she neglected to inform parents as well. Only there was a shortage of aides to meet the required minutes of students who have help during classes, and now you are going to rehire her so she can fail our students again. Also, the agenda implies that you are cutting how many aides we have in the district. Why would you cut aides when the governor has guaranteed every school district will have the funding to pay their employees during this pandemic? Do you care so little for the staff and students that you would fire the hardworking angels that help our students succeed just so you can hire a failed superintendent for political reasons? Vote no on Dr. Baker. Do not fire or let go any of our aides. They are the backbone support our teachers use to help reach every student so they can be successful, and every student deserves that. Public comment by Christina Medina. I am expressing that I am not for Carol Baker for GWMS principal. As a parent and taxpayer, I feel we have a choice when it comes to these decisions. Next, Vanessa Montalvo, homeschool PTO president. I would like to ask the board to not approve Carol Baker's position as principal and assistant superintendent at GW Middle School. It is very hard to believe that the board and Superintendent Rivera would even consider bringing back someone who sued the district and broke her contract. She has never even been a principal at a school before, so I ask, why is she a good candidate? Can someone also tell me when were interviews held for parents to participate? I recall being involved in Superintendent Rivera's interview process years ago, as I am sure he does as well. Where is the transparency and communication that both Rivera and the school board promised? There is none of that ever since the stay-at-home order happened. We, the residents and parents of District 103, have been kept in the dark. There are no videos provided for us to see what is happening in our district. Another question I have is, when are interviews going to be done for the preschool director? She is retiring, and there is no movement on that either. But instead, you are creating positions that are not necessary. Thank you. Board of Education. This is from Joanne Schaefer, resident and taxpayer. Once again, you are shocking the community by not including all resolutions on the agenda for the 5/26/20 open meeting and bringing back someone who created so much trouble in 103 at the salary of $129,000 plus another $50,000 in benefits. While the meeting is open, in all reality, it is closed since nobody from the public can attend, and it is not being streamed even though the district has the ability. Please don't make the serious mistake of releasing so many employees, thus dismantling our technology department, lunch program, healthcare, library services, before, aftercare, and all positions involving aides and paraprofessionals. I also question the preschool program, which is noticeably missing and with no director posting. Is that next? Outsourcing is expensive. Look at your almost $40,000 a month for Maxim. Notice again, over 31 million.
3,100,000.
Thank you. 3,100,000 bills on bill listing and over 1,600,000 deficit overspending on financial report. Please notice absolutely no mention of what will be done with the Legion Hall property and what will be used as storage after the demolishment. I would mention other mind-blowing mistakes, but I'm out of words according to your new rules. Can't wait until meetings are open again. Stop screwing up, please. Okay. This is Earl Johnson, taxpayer. I want to address the board and tell you that hiring Dr. Carol Baker at George Washington Middle School principal and District 103 assistant superintendent is the wrong thing to do and take our district backward, not forward. Dr. Baker, while superintendent in our district, was a lightning rod for criticism and poor judgment and was disliked by parents, teachers, and staff alike. Dr. Baker resigned from our district only to return shortly thereafter and sue the district, and the board majority gave her a $10,000 settlement as an going away present. After this happened, Dr. Baker was hired in District 86, Hinsdale, where again she was a lightning rod for criticism. Ultimately, in a unanimous vote, she was fired from the district. Amongst all this information that's out there, why would Dr. Baker be considered for a job in any district, yet alone 103? This board needs to vote no on hiring Dr. Baker and turn around and hire a qualified candidate without so much baggage attached. You need to also involve the community in the hiring process, which through technology and social distancing can be done. Our district must move forward, not backwards. Thank you. Kristen Thomas. I understand this socially distant time is a great time to take advantage of making decisions without backlash from the community. However, remember, you represent the community and are supposed to convey our concerns as your own. That's your job, to listen to our concerns about our children. To hire Dr. Carol Baker back into this community is a terrible step backwards after gains we made with our last principal. It was clear Mr. Jones had thoughtful goals for our children centered around needs of our district. Carol Baker has concerns about herself. Our current district's school board is already a laughing joke in other school districts. Please stop giving them reasons to laugh at us. Hiring someone that did not work out last time is clearly not an appropriate choice. We need to put the needs of our community first. Start listening to the families, not your friends. I'll remind you that it's your job. The kids in this district will one day be the ones that take care of you, so make sure you are taking care of them now. They'll remember the impact you made. You need to decide if it's a positive or negative impact. Tom Weiner, Costello parent. I want to address the hiring of Dr. Carol Baker. You are about to create a toxic situation in School District 103, especially at GW. Dr. Baker resigned from 103 when things got a little hard on her, like when she was asked to perform duties. I think he meant her duties. She sued the district and received $10,700 she should not have received because she left on her own accord. She was terminated from Hinsdale District 86 by a unanimous decision after she tried to change the science curriculum without proper approval. She even terminated a teacher who didn't agree with her. We do not need someone like this in our district. She cost this district money and fines for authorizing illegal asbestos removal in the admin building, then tried to cover it up. She did not have the respect from staff members when she was with 103 last time. What makes you think she will have it this time? We all know why she is being brought back. It's a political move, plain and simple, just like the last time the majority of the board was backed by Getty. This is not in the best interest of the students, staff, and community of SD 103. Mr. Rivera, if you think this is a good move for 103, please think again. Also, if you think I think he's trying to say, if you think your job is safe, keep in mind the majority in charge now was in charge the last time Dr. Baker was hired. This majority might think it will be a good idea to replace you with Dr. Baker. That is it. I promise I know my numbers, but the letters got the best of me.
Okay, the financials are attached to the agenda for public to review. I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a question on the bill list. It's just, I think you can pull it off. Pardon me? Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, I don't mind keeping that if I get my question answered, but
No, you really aren't. You should
Go ahead,
just
remove it.
remove so which that's actually B. You're asking to remove.
yeah.
So it'll be everything. And you'll just vote on B separate.
We don't have to make a motion for that.
No.
Okay.
So it's just a motion with all the items except B.
That will be voted on.
Yes, it'll be separate.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda on that item?
I'll make the motion.
Winifred?
I guess I'll second.
Okay. Olivia Quintero.
Yes.
Vito Campanelli.
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez.
Yep.
Shannon Johnson.
Yes.
Marge Ubasek.
Yes.
Sharon Anderson.
Yes.
George Torres.
Okay, so my question is, and I've been a little impressed with myself that I saw this. When I went through the bill list and looked at the expenditures, because it's a pretty high bill list, why starting with the Village of Lyons, our water bill, and going to the end, it says that it's paid out of the district, no, actually it's up further. Anyway, it starts where we're paying with district office cash. And it's just from that point down. And I realize you might not have the answer because whoever put this together isn't here. But if you could let us.
Yeah, I got it. I wrote down the question.
Okay.
I'll get that to you.
Okay. That was my only question.
Will you, copy us on that? Thank you.
Okay.
Approve that.
Okay. So, I'm looking for a motion to approve item B, as presented. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Winifred, gotcha, Vito.
Okay.
All right. Olivia Quintero.
Yes.
Vito Campanelli.
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez.
Yes.
Shannon Johnson.
Yes.
Marge Ubasek.
Yes.
Sharon Anderson. George Torres.
Yes. Looking for a motion to approve the appointment of Dr. Carol Baker as Assistant Superintendent and Principal of George Washington Middle School in the amount of $129,000 plus benefits as presented in the contract. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
There's a question. So you presented, well, you didn't present, it was just posted, to have an assistant superintendent position. We know the magnitude of a principal position at George Washington Middle School. It's not an easy job. You cut out another assistant principal this year and made this person a dean, paying them less because supposedly they're working less days and taking on less responsibility. And now you're hiring Carol Baker to do both jobs. How did that come about, and how do you think that's feasible with the amount of work it takes just to be a middle school principal?
I understand that. Then I had a bigger school than George Washington, so I walked that shoes. And I had a 212-day contract, and it wasn't year-round. And what we were looking at, and what we were considering, the reason the dynamic of the preschool director position has gone up now is we were going to try to combine something. And we were initially thinking of the preschool and assistant superintendent, but trying, fiscal reasons behind it. This fit came better, and that's where we thought we combine something is in that area. And the duties are, I do understand there's supervision, there's a lot of issues, but there's also a lot of time in the summer and other aspects where her knowledge and expertise can pick up some duties and help alleviate some of the stress we cut from central office, you've got to do that. And so with those cuts, we needed some help. But we wanted to continue to be fiscally responsible with the duties, and this was a better fit, so to speak, and that's how it came about. As a question, and trying to look at some ways to trim down, and that's where it ended up fitting.
I just feel that it wasn't, I don't think it's honestly going to work out regardless of who you're hiring for, because I think it's a big span of responsibility for them to do both things, and especially keeping an unnecessary position in the central office, such as an assistant superintendent. I think that the person who's watching the should be focusing on that school and those kids and the staff that are there, and they're going to have their hands full enough. They probably can use 17 months in a year, to be honest, to be able to do that with fidelity.
So my question, because that was a question I had too, but then being new with this, and it doesn't matter who's doing this, but whoever, with this being a brand new combined position and Dr. Baker never being a principal previously, so that may take a little bump for her to learn. Why would we give a 2-year contract instead of just a 1-year contract? See how it goes, see if it's feasible. Maybe, after a year you're like, God, the amount of work that she had to put in at GW took all the time away from doing any type of assistant duties, but now you're locked for 2 years. Why wouldn't you just give her a 1-year contract to see how this all flushes out? Because maybe meshing those two positions are going to turn out to not be what you're looking for.
Some concerns we feel that one concern that the main concern that addressed that was the concern that there's been turnover at GW, and we wanted to express a commitment to that building.
And I understand that, but then is there going to be something in the contract then that says, if changes need to be made to the combined position, then so be it? Because if that's the case, and it is a little much, are you going to have that wiggle room to say, okay, you're only going to be a principal, we're either going to do away with or do something else with the assistant? are you giving yourself that flexibility as opposed to paying someone to do two jobs when it's may not be feasible for them to?
I think the thing we'll manage in flexibility there is the amount of duties from central office. That's where we're gonna try to find our niche to see what is enough and what is, too much and where the right fit is. And so that's where the flexibility comes in how much are we going to, because one of my next things to do is sit down with my staff, relatively, some of them are new now. Director of Maintenance, we got Sheila Johnson, we've got Carol Baker, and it's morphing, Derek Naglike's role a little bit. So one thing I'm going to do next is sit down and look at duties, and we're going to divide up duties. And so within job description of duties, we have more flexibility to adjust that as an administration than to adjust dynamics of the contract.
So another question is, are you going to have a conversation with Carol that says, stay in your lane? Because with her being a former superintendent here, that could cause some potential waves. Like that's not how I did it, or
Sure.
I did it this way with staff. Or even in the past, my first superintendent, Dr. Warner, we thought about bringing him back temporarily while we were, what was it, curriculum? While we were looking for a new curriculum director, and he was like, no, because as former soup, I don't want people to come into me and not go into the current soup because of whatever. So are you going to have a conversation with her, like, stay in your lane, don't overstep your bounds, I'm in charge of the ship?
I don't think I'm going to have to. My leadership style is conducive to generating people's skills. So when you use shared leadership as frequently as I do, people are empowered. So it doesn't, honestly, I am not prideful or anything, but I credit that leadership style to the fact that we're at a point here where we almost have our district improvement plan in place. We have an MTSS handbook that has been, bouncing around for a couple of years, and the instructional support system and then other dynamics, teaming and all that. That is there because I go a little bit slower in front and bring people and generate ideas. My job's to facilitate, bring out the strengths. I think she's going to shine with this. I think she'll shine and be, contribute with the knowledge and experience she does have.
Well, you're right, but I don't see it.
I have a question, and this is basically for George, since he was on the board previously before we came on the board. Now, it may be inappropriate, maybe you won't be able to answer, but how was it in the past when you hired? Was it a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract? What's the difference from then and now?
And on the position.
Well, there is no difference, but there was, was it a 2-year contract when she was hired?
The first time,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
as superintendent, you
As
mean?
superintendent.
But it depends on the
It's a
position.
3-year
They're typically
3-year.
It wasn't
Yes,
3 years.
3
But
years.
not for principal
Yeah.
contracts, and
And
Mr.
not for
Darrell,
and not for
you
administrators.
yourself said you weren't in favor of multiple year contracts, yet you're doing this.
Yeah,
The other thing is
and I explained the
that,
rationale. I
Well,
don't want to breeze over
you
that.
still said, but the
That's
thing is
okay.
that it seems to me when you talk about over the summer, that she would have more time to do work at the administration building. Your dean of students and your assistant principal will be gone. There's still scheduling, there's a multitude
Yeah.
of things that have to go on in the school. It's not the secretary's responsibility to set up the schedules and do that.
Absolutely.
So she has to do that. I might also point out that in the history of 103, we have never had an assistant superintendent and a business manager until the job for Kyle Hastings was created. Our assistant superintendent was the business manager because they didn't have they did the job, but they didn't have the whatever CBA, whatever that
CFBO.
right. And so now we've brought on, you talked about being fiscally responsible, seems to me, when you say your list of things, if you truly needed someone, which I don't agree with, you would have had your whole list of duties that you expected this assistant made up to do, and then talked about it. But you really didn't even bring it to the board to discuss the whole board.
And so now I'm hearing you say, well, now we're gonna hire Carol Baker, and now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna adjust the list, I'm gonna make a list of the things that she's supposed to do.
Well,
You
what-
see how see how that
Yes,
sounds?
but I want to explain that. Because everything has been topsy-turvy, there's plenty of things out there, plenty. Because of all the turnover that are in limbo. Plenty of things. This needs to happen because we need to organize and structure these things equitably, because right now, it's heavier on different sides, and we have to do that. So the general idea of definitely her experience with title grants is a big bonus. So we have structured duties, but we need to look at nuances and then overlap. And then the current curriculum director, I've been doing homework. So looking at the job descriptions, there's no instruction, and instruction is so valuable.
No instruction where?
Anyway,
You lost me here.
job description.
Job description for who?
For our curriculum director. So I've been doing that. I've been picking up the committees for the instructional support system, generating strategies and ways to develop that dynamic. And so and I say that as an example, it's not a complaint, it's an urgency to reorganize, because with so much turnover, now I can see and look at and say, oh my gosh, there's things outstanding that are just not addressed, and then, what happens is I go, okay, who's doing this? I got it, let's go. And then people are picking up. So we're getting organized. So it's not a solely Carol Baker move, it's I've got to get my people organized and make sure everything's accounted for.
So did we have a lot of people apply for this job? Because of your explanation when you gave us that update was like, we better jump on her because there's a long list of people who want her. And so you didn't go through the process that we normally go through. Staff didn't have a chance to you heard it in the public comments. And it just seems like a predetermined, and that's the feeling out there. And whether you agree with it or not, is that we need to make up a job for Carol Baker, so this is what it's going to be. And the fact that we don't have a full-time principal, and they don't, parents and staff don't see it as a full-time principal because no other principal is sharing a job, yet she's going to share a job, and we have 700 middle school kids here who are a challenge just to begin with. And so I think it's a 2-point issue. I think it's who you're hiring and what, when we talk about job descriptions, what that is, because it seems kind of like weak. It does seem kind of weak, my opinion. I know you don't agree with that, but that's okay.
Can I ask Alicia a question? So remember when we were going through the whole discussion of paying out Carol's vacation days? And we said that we need to put a caveat into the administrator's contract so that wouldn't be applicable anymore.
The sick day.
Yeah. We talked about how because there wasn't the exact language, that's why it was recommended that it be paid. Is that in this new contract for her, so that she doesn't do it again? Because we know, even though it's a 2-year contract, we know administrators can leave willy-nilly anytime they want. And I read through this contract, and I don't see any language ensuring that wouldn't happen. But I could have missed it. I don't speak lawyer very well.
I don't know, I believe Leslie may have reviewed the contract. Anything else I can look at it and see. But because I remember right after it happened, we had some discussions, the superintendent, about the language, and I sent over a draft, and then we didn't actually finish it out, but I know I did come up with some language, but we never.
Well, it seems like it would be important to be in there though, Felicia, because she's already done this to us once. And there's nothing to stop her from coming up and doing it again. And now you have to answer to all the people that are out there.
And she was raised from Hinsdale in the middle of the year too, so
So I think it's just important.
So as it reads right now, it just says that it's the same.
It's the same.
That the administrator shall be granted sick leave as defined in section 24(6) of 20 working days per year, which may be accumulated to a maximum of 355 days, The superintendent may require the administrator to submit a position statement certifying the medical basis for the administrator's absence for 3 consecutive days.
Ms. Felicia, is that sick days or vacation days?
I thought we
This
paid her
is-
on her vacation days.
Yeah, the vacation, the sick days,
So
I mean,
her
she can
sick
accumulate
days would have
because that
rolled
goes
into her retirement.
Yeah,
Right,
so
we
I
paid
don't
her on
care
her
about,
vacation
I don't care
days.
about the sick days.
So
She
with the
would-
vacation days, it says she'll be entitled to the 20 working days each year of the contract.
And that's what we needed to fix.
So,
Because,
If you left in September.
yeah,
and then it says vacation shall be scheduled and approved by the superintendent and must be taken within 12.
Which, is she,
Period.
right? Which
and
she-
because I remember we had that long discussion about it,
Sure we did.
because it was the language in here that prevented it, and we
Well,
said,
it was more than that,
caveat.
Shannon, because I think there was a disconnect somehow between our previous attorneys and what they sent over, and I think at the time it didn't get to Felicia in a timely manner, but there was a whole case of why, when she was gonna leave, why she didn't get her vacation then.
right,
So
right.
there was
There was, right.
something, but when we asked about that, I know she reached out to Phil Gerner at Robert Schwartz, and in fact, Sharon had a copy of the email that she
Right.
brought to a board meeting.
Right.
So whatever the disconnect was, we have a chance to fit, we can't go back. She got her 5,000 or whatever, but this is the chance to plug that hole. And I
It's
don't
like
think we should be
10,000.
signing a
Yeah,
contract.
So,
Yeah.
but it does have, and I'm not sure if this one, if it had this language before that, any unused accrued vacation days must be taken during the contract year and may not be accumulated and carried over to the next contract year. So,
Right, but then that doesn't,
but I just thought
Yeah,
I was
doesn't
gonna
pay.
know if that was in the.
Because
that's
she
just,
left
it is.
she
in
left
the
in the
contract,
current year.
for sure.
She left in September or August or something, so the fiscal year had started, and she got like 1.75 or 2 days or whatever that was prorated for the actual time she was here, and we wound up paying her for the other 18 days.
And that was the language that you had talked about possibly putting
Right.
in about the prorating
So it didn't
based on
happen
days
again.
worked.
We
So-
never, like I said, I didn't finalize language with the superintendent with that, but we did talk about it and then it just.
I think we're going down the same slope again. Then I think that we need to work with your language and give her a contract, or any administrator, a contract that says that.
Yeah.
Because they could come in and for whatever reason leave, and then we wind up owing them money. And
I
it's
mean,
taxpayers'
technically, at the
money.
end of July, they could leave and
Exactly.
with
So
the
they-
beyond all for
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
next school year.
I
So
don't remember whether that was October or November that we discussed it, and we said that the job description would be changed,
It was October, I
Yeah.
think.
something like
Yeah.
that. But I mean, from then till now, has it been changed or updated? Because I thought that's
No,
what
No,
was
we
in the
started the
applicable
process,
policy.
we did not finish that portion of the contract.
So you can still, what you could do if you wanted, you could approve, the hiring with an amendment to the sick leave language. However.
With vacation,
Or what-
sorry, vacation, not
vacation,
sick.
Vacation leave, vacation language, the thing is, someone's gonna have a conversation with her about that's what the board wants. So then, you can approve her, but her contract wouldn't be technically approved.
And what if she says, no, I'm not gonna go for that? Then why don't we hold off until June to hire her?
You'd have to vote, you know what I mean, you have to vote on this. So you can do it pending approval of the contract with the district requested vacation language, meaning as soon as she accepts the language, then she will be hired. Do you know what I mean? The problem is if she says no, then you would just have to bring it back with the contract, either you bring it back with the contract as is or not, it's up to you then.
I'm sure if
So
she
you
runs
could
the job,
do
she
it.
wouldn't say no.
The motion could pretty much be, the way that it's worded on the agenda, approval of the hiring of Carol Baker as Assistant Superintendent and Principal of GWMS at $129,000 the contract year, pending the approval or, the approval of district requested vacation language during the term of the agreement.
Now, one question
And
is,
I'm just thinking, that she's gonna take the job, she's gone from a teacher to a department head, to a superintendent, to a curriculum director, and now she's gone back down to a principal, which just lends itself to there's not people beating down her door to be a superintendent. And so I would think, and especially since she did it to us once already,
Right.
that she would be, if the board passes and hires her, then she would see the benefit to us. We have to worry about ourselves.
So then what happens is if she is fine with it, you don't have to bring it back before the board, then it's fine. If for some reason she's not, then that's it. But if she accepts like the language that we come up with, then it's fine. She's done.
So we wouldn't need to bring it back to the board.
Not if she accepts the.
Unless she rejects it.
If she
Sure.
rejects it, then you gotta.
Okay.
That's providing she gets hired from it.
Yes.
but my thing is, I thought that was gonna be done back then. Now, are we just nitpicking Carol Baker, or does everyone, because is that language in everyone's job description?
Well, that's what they were saying, that they do.
It should be,
want
you're right, it
should
should
be
be in every
authorized.
administrator's contract, that they
Should.
can't do it because we got burned once. And it wasn't, she was already gone when she was already getting it from us, and the discussion was, we need to have some kind of language that there's not this loophole again, so that every administrator, when they come in, they can't leave us part of the year, whether it's 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months or, 6 months, and get that vacation money from us.
And with her too, it didn't pop into my head to remember until her name came up with it. So like technically when we hired Brian and we hired those administrators, it should have been in their contract.
It should
Right,
have.
that was
Yeah.
my-
And I don't
Correct.
even,
I remember.
But it didn't pop into my head until her name came up with it, and then I remembered about it.
and I'll bet that if it's not in this contract, it's not in any administrators, and you're right.
And
It should be in all of them.
that's not a board member's responsibility. That should have been taken care of by.
That's what I'm saying, it should be updated.
Okay,
yes.
so,
So the question is, then, when we talked about this, are you gonna make the changes to all the one-year contracts that you have to, I'm sure George has to sign contracts for the administrators who you've extended their contracts. I'm thinking
Well,
you
they're
already
already-
evaluated them. So, but have you signed contracts for all the principals? Okay, so they haven't been signed yet. So what do we do about them?
Well, the multi-year ones.
Well, we
don't-
can't change those, but we have a bunch of people
Do
who
we have
are
a-
on one-year contract.
Any renewal
No,
needs to be renewed now?
right.
Yeah,
The single-year
the
contracts.
single-year contracts. That's like
Renewed
Brian
multi,
and
yeah.
the principals that are not on multi-year contracts.
So
I
do
don't
those
know.
have to be brought back to the board as well?
It was approved like,
Okay, so
Yeah.
can the language be changed before you guys sign? Make sure that the language is
We
changed.
voted on all their contracts, Shar?
so,
Not yet.
but there's the multi.
Well, the multi-year we can't do anything about because they got another, but
Correct.
we do have a number
The
of
new
them
ones for
that are going to
July.
be voted
March.
on.
Right, no,
Talking about-
that's on here, that's on the resolution, to be voted on tonight.
Right, so what they're saying though is to change their contract language to put that caveat
We
in
need
there.
to change it all.
Are their
Right, we can't just do it for her.
We need to
vacation
change all.
language the same? Like, how, does their vacation language read?
Well, wait a minute, the principals, some of the principals don't get vacation. It's only 12-month people.
Yeah.
So it would be
Okay,
anybody
so-
at the administration building that's on
So
a
it would-
one-year
all the
contract.
snippers.
Yeah.
So who else would it
That's,
be?
that's right. So really, it would be, everyone else is a 10-month except for, the GW.
Well,
So, but then,
okay.
but
she's
then
the only
the
one.
human resource is 12
Oh,
months, so we
but
need
for the
it.
resource-
For the 12 months, right. Human resource, you got
Special
Kristen
services.
Smith, you
No,
got,
Kristen Smith is 10 months.
10 months.
It's a 12-month principal. It
Right.
would be a human resource
Correct.
over there. It should have
Yes.
been, I don't know,
Student
Specialized.
services didn't have a year.
Yes.
yeah, student services, curriculum,
Right.
no,
Not
curriculum
curriculum.
was multi-year,
Right.
yeah, so just student services
Yeah,
and,
direction.
Well, it needs to be
And
put in,
HR.
so
Right.
it's not, you're not just nitpicking one person.
Right, we don't need this thrown in our face
Right.
time and time
I
again
agree.
at different meetings, it just needs to be put in and everybody
Right,
be
and if
treated
they've
fairly.
already signed a contract, amend it like you're doing her. I
Well,
mean,
Well, they've already signed it, you can't
They've already
amend it.
signed their contracts, you're not gonna.
they have
So-
already.
But
signed
we
it.
haven't voted on them yet, it's
Well, we
on
haven't
tonight.
voted.
Yeah.
You said we haven't voted on them yet, though.
Isn't it on tonight for Brian and, the, student services
Right.
and EL director, those are all on tonight.
So,
So can
So
we
why
do
can't
that
we do the same
caveat
thing
as
for them?
well?
You can, but your motion's gonna end up being the exact same thing. Pending, like, so you
Yeah.
have,
But then they can't come back at one or all of us and say, wait a minute, you know, you took care of one, but you left all these people who could do it
100%,
again.
you need to be across the board with it.
can I see?
Sure.
So, like for, oh, you mean for this, well, Lappy, do they have?
No,
Oh, yeah,
she wouldn't have it.
she wouldn't have it.
Yeah, she's telling me.
It would be the ones for the, where is it?
Letter E,
Yes.
Yeah.
Administrative salary for single year administrative contracts. So it would have to be put into, oh, I got wheel of death. Come on now.
Well, with the single year
My computer's not
contract,
working.
I don't, I have to look at ours on it, because I wouldn't be as necessarily concerned about the single year, only
But we could
because.
give them a new contract in May,
That's
sign a
And
new
then they can
contract,
vote.
and then in
Okay, yeah,
October,
that's just a-
they could leave for whatever reason, and it would be the same thing.
Yeah, they
It
get a
didn't
better
have
offer.
to do with Carol's contract, she was in the last year of her contract.
Yeah, it would be Brian Town, Ruby Ortiz, and Kelly
Kelly
Berger.
Berger,
Bergeron. I'm sorry if I'm saying that.
Yeah, it would be the three.
And their vacation language reads similar to,
It's the same
It's
as.
the same as this.
okay, so you would, then your motions would just be the motion and then pending approval of
District
district
participating.
requesting
Then everybody's
vacation
treated the same.
And then we would just have to, I'll just have to come up with it tomorrow.
And then, Chris,
So,
So you would
before
just
you
have to
hire
notify them
someone
that
else,
you're
or
doing
just change the language in the
yeah,
contract.
we'll change the template, yep.
do I have a motion to approve to amend these action items?
I'll make that
it.
motion.
So you're dealing with the first one first.
With A.
For 8.
For A, yes.
So are you gonna read us what the language is?
Yeah, so the amendment calls for pending the approval of district requested vacation language during the term of the agreement. Then
That would just be at the end of the motion.
Yes.
And then the contract would, I just wanna make clear, because I'm a little confused now. The contract will mean, whatever the words are that you put in, will mean that, if an administrator comes in, if they sign their contract for the next year, and then they come to us in August or October or November, they would get prorated vacation for the time they worked, not the 20 days, not the whole 20 days, correct?
Correct, for that year.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Do I have
So
a second?
now you're
Who was
just
the
voting on
first?
the amendment.
I was the
amendment.
first.
Thank you.
Do
And
I have a second? Okay.
Okay, so we have Olivia and
Call
Winifred.
the roll?
Okay, Olivia Quintero. Yes. Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
again, this is just on the amendment. Yes.
Marge Ubicek,
Yes.
Sharon Anderson,
Yes.
George Schwartz.
Yes.
Can I ask, before we go into, because we're going to hold it, why are we not following our board policy that calls for a rotating vote? It's our board policy. Why are we not following it? I brought this up before.
Is that what
Our
you're-
board policy is very specific. It's a rotating vote. Sharon knows that. It's a rotating vote.
So the last time,
George always goes last, but it rotates, it used to rotate alphabetically to us.
so the last time I got asked, okay, are we gonna rotate the vote? And then you said we'll rotate it like every 3 months.
Right.
But that's not what our policy says. And so my question is, and people notice that on the minutes,
And these
Why-
votes will
why-
not change, so I mean, whatever your mentality is about every action item or whatever we decide here tonight still has no.
But it's our
I'm not
policy.
arguing that. I'm not arguing anything. All I'm saying is that we are not following our policy. Our policy says that the vote is rotated. And this is like another month, this is like a couple of months that we've done it. You don't get to pick and choose and change and say, we're gonna do this for 2 months or do this for 3 months. It's our board policy. If you're gonna hold everybody to a policy, then we have to be held to a policy, and that's what it says. That's what it says. So we should be rotating.
I did ask the attorney, because this has been brought up a couple of times. Yeah, I believe it was Leslie did say the policy is not specific and.
Oh, you know what,
And
then I want Felicia to look at it. It's our
Yeah.
board policy, we've done it forever. This is what it clearly states, that we're supposed to, the idea is that nobody is the first voter all the time. Everyone
Right.
has to be in that seat to make that first vote. It's just fair. And the board president, of course, always votes last.
Right.
And it says, I don't really care what she said,
Yeah.
because
I'm just
it's
saying
in-
it so
I
you know I
it's in
did
the
bring it.
policy.
Right, right.
I don't doubt that you did, but we should be following the policy. Can you look at that?
Okay.
Thank you.
So now we need to vote on the original
So
motion.
now you're voting on the motion as it was amended.
What the amendment?
Okay, looking for a motion to approve the appointment of Dr. Carol Baker. Carol Baker as Assistant Superintendent, Principal of George Washington Middle School in the amount of $129,000 plus benefits as presented in the contract with the amendment.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Oh,
Sorry, I didn't see it.
That's right.
Okay.
call roll.
Okay, no, we have discussion still, right? Because now
We
we're
can
voting
discuss.
on. Okay. The history of her, if Carol Baker, is not unknown to anybody. There is a demonstration out front tonight against this. There's been a lot of talk through social media against this. There is a petition that has over 250
It's
signatures.
360 people.
Oh,
And there are
360 now.
18 pages of comments from people, and they're not a slam against her personally. They are questioning the role she had in her job, and of course the asbestos and leaving and all of that. And everyone said in there that they feel that their kids deserve better. But we have and the petition we got originally when they wanted to get rid of her when we first came in was 250, and it's grown now. So I know where you're going with that.
And I've said this before, our kids deserve the best in this district. I know there's better out there. There's people out there who are dedicated to their middle school philosophy. They're dedicated to being a middle school principal. That is their passion, that is their life. Giving this job to Carol Baker is not the best fit. Her experience is in science. If we were hiring a science curriculum director and not giving you any ideas, she'd be a good fit. If we were hiring a superintendent for a high school, she would be a good fit. This is nothing personal. I've said this about Carol Baker. She's a nice person. She's always been nice. It is not personal. It is about looking what is best for our kids in this district. And she has a proven track record that she is not the best for this district. And also in Hinsdale, it was really a bad situation with trying to overthrow the curriculum and the program. And she ended up getting fired ultimately because her contract wasn't renewed. It was a unanimous vote by the board, and including the board president, who they used to be friends back in the day, and she even voted to oust her. So I am really, really hoping that everybody can look into their conscience and realize there is a better candidate out there for this position. And I am hoping that, to put any personal feelings aside, look at what is best for these children of this district. And please, do what is right. And do not award this to Carol Baker. She is not the best fit for this district.
What is the salary Don's currently making?
I believe it's 110,000, I believe.
110, so you're giving her 90,000 more to do the assistant superintendent. Roughly.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I was just seeing what the difference was.
Call the roll, Carl.
Okay, Olivia Quintero,
Yes.
Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
No.
Marge Ubisek,
No.
Sharon Anderson,
No.
George Torres.
Yes. Motion passes. Action item B, approval of Wheaton School Assistant Principal Beatrice LaPay as Assistant Principal of Wheaton School in the amount of $83,000 for the year of 2020-2021 school year. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll make it, but are the amendments gonna be, we
She's
talked
10
about
months.
it.
She's
Okay,
10 months. She doesn't get
Okay.
vacation.
I'll second, so that's only 10 months.
Okay.
I have a,
I do too, so.
I do too.
why is she making more money than people that have been here longer, such as the middle school assistant principal?
She came through with some experience at the administrative level. I didn't negotiate with her myself, so I could ask that question and talk about the dynamics of that negotiation. But
I just think that's going to reflect poorly on the administrators who have been here longer. If somebody's new is coming in to make more money, that's generally not the best practice. And I think it sets up for some discontent between employees from the get-go, especially on an admin team. And another thing is my biggest concern, and I don't know, I wish this was closed session so I can get an answer, but I want it on record that I'm asking, why does she bounce around so much from position to position to position? This lady has had more
13
positions
2010.
in a school, in various school districts than I've ever seen in my life. And if we're looking for longevity in our district, and that's been the buzzword, especially all night, I am not confident that she's not going to bounce out of here in 1 year. So I really think the kids in Lincoln School need consistency.
And as far as you giving her more money for her administrative, when I printed out her resume, she's been mostly, well, she's a special ed teacher. Then she went to resource teacher. She was a principal at a school in Bolingbrook, but recently she hasn't. Then she went from an assistant principal, Cicero West. Then she went to the principal of Abraham Lincoln in Cicero yet, and now she was going to be an assistant principal at Unity. And if you look at it, there's 13 or 14.
13
She
since
doesn't stay.
2010.
And I think there's something wrong with her resume. Because some of the things, it looks like she was only there 6 months. I'm going to give her the benefit of a doubt where she just was in the wrong year. But now we're going to hire someone at our biggest school who, I agree, jumps around. I don't see where your big administrative that you would pay, give her a higher pay than somebody else. Was there a committee for her
yes,
of teachers from the school?
yes.
Okay. And that is neither here nor there. I just think we're going to pay her, and she never stays anywhere. It's really hard for me to believe that she was the best candidate out of all the people that you hear that are looking for jobs and positions. Someone who they move her around in her own school. She's been, 3 different places, and she's been all over, mostly as a resource teacher. So her big administrative, experience doesn't show up here. And this is what you gave us. It doesn't show up here.
And normally, we all know, I think anyone that comes out of District 99 is amazing and should just be, held on a pedestal. But, she...
You're talking students now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, students now.
Quite
Okay.
a few teachers that I knew too, but yeah.
All right.
So yeah. But 13 positions since 2010, and most of those only lasted a year. Even if you cut her some slack with 99 and say, oh, it was movement within 99, that was still only 3 school years.
And they took her from a principal down to an assistant principal. It says something. It says something on your resume. And then to jump around, she's got a lot of special ed experience. She, here, and bilingual. She has that. Teacher and stuff, but administrative? I don't see it. I just can't see,
Well, and we're giving her more money, but you want to give the principal of that school more money as well. So it's like, well, why are we giving her more money if you want to give the principal more money? Like, it just doesn't. I don't know.
So who negotiates the contract with her, and who actually negotiates the pay?
Brian, HR.
Do you have anything to do with it?
He informs it, I review it, and of course, I'm the ultimate rubber stamp.
So you were okay with seeing 14 or 13 jobs? It didn't bother you? It didn't bother?
Are you talking about salary? You're talking
I'm
about
talking about
What are you
both. I'm talking about salary, and I'm talking about how long she stays in a job. It didn't bother you?
I I didn't look at it. I mean, outside,
You just went off his
You
recommendation.
just went off his recommendation, you didn't look.
Do I have, can you call the roll, please? Sharon?
Okay, Olivia Quintero,
Yes.
Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
No.
Marjorie Bissett,
No.
Sharon Anderson,
No.
George Torres.
Yes.
I'm just saying, for the next, I'm just writing out the same exact end of the motion, so when you get to the next employee, I think that's E. I think the first appropriate thing to do is make a motion to amend it and include that. I just want to check. Okay, sorry.
Right.
Action item C. Looking for a motion to approve anywhere from 4 to 7 instructional coaches for the district.
I make a motion.
I'll second that.
Question. Okay. We are in a crazy time of this world, right? Our kids have been out of school since March 17th. We have a high population of students with many special needs. They need interventions. They need the extra help. They need that small group instruction. Why at this time, when we don't even know what is going on next school year, are we trying to make this change, to take away services from kids to give to teachers? Teachers have been going above and beyond for these last few months. Well, they always do. I mean, I'm partial, but restructuring their instruction and diving into this remote learning and this e-learning, they have proven that they can handle so many things. I understand the rationale behind an instructional coach. I've heard of them. I don't necessarily agree with them. I just do not think it is a good time right now to take an interventionist away from students to give a coach to a teacher. I think we need to put this on the back burner, and I know I'm probably preaching to the choir again, but our kids are going to need so much help when, and I'm positive when we come back to school in the fall, and I'm praying when we come back to school in the fall, it would be a terrible thing to do. They're going to need more interventions than ever. There's going to be such slide. There's going to be such summer slide. Please, please, please realize that this is not the time to do this. Our kids need interventionists. They need that small group instruction. They need that extra help. Please take it from, I don't care if you hate my guts, take it from an educator's perspective. It is not best for these kids right now.
Well, and I think to build on that, I see that we're taking it from Title I money. There's no better way to spend our Title I money. And also, I mean, I know we get money because we're a Title I district, so we get funds all the time. But that's the way to spend it. You haven't come back to us with a plan. This is how it's going to look. Who's going to train these people? This is how it's going to be helpful, which is why we didn't pass it several years ago. Because it's just a thought out there. We're going to bring this in, and they're going to work with the teachers. It's going to cost us, 4 to 7 people. That's a lot of money. We're running on deficit. This is not money that's going to be spent. Ultimately, they work with the teachers. It helps the kids. But as Shannon said, we don't know what we're facing. And that's a lot of money to take out of Title I when it could be spent spent better. In my opinion, I don't think this is the time to do this. If you want to, I think we should just not deal with it, and you come back with a plan, but that the entire board is in on. How are you going to do it? How's this going to work? What's the benefit? And all of that stuff. I don't think this is the time. I don't think it's the best use of Title I funds. And it seems to be, again, it was thrown together, and we already have questions about what it's doing. I don't think this is the
Definitely
time
not
to do it
thrown
either.
together. Definitely not thrown together. In fact, it's one of the board goals, is an instructional support system. This is what an instructional support system is.
Then
But
perhaps
there's more than one. There's more than one version of it.
I understand
This is
that.
one aspect. This is what it could be. There are other things we can do now that can meet those goals or work towards meeting those goals that do not take away services from our students.
I think it would be a huge
To
Where's
get
the discussion of the whole board in your explanation? and I don't mean sell it to us, but to explain why this is so important. We didn't get anything, the whole board, the whole rationale for this. We're voting on this tonight because it came
I've
up.
been providing updates on the instructional support system for several months.
You know what, the way.
But not about, not taking away
You never
interventions
once
from the
said we're
kids.
gonna take away resource aid, to our students. And let's face it, you take away the interventionists,
I'm not gonna accept that comment.
that's
Because
fine.
in the many emails I've sent about, or updates about the instructional support system, I find it hard to believe that I didn't mention that we need supports for teachers.
I'm not saying that you never said we need support for teachers, but I'm saying you never said we were gonna
Take
replace an
interventionists.
interventionist with the support.
That's a big difference. We
There's-
need
there's-
both.
I mean,
is what we
these
need.
kids, it's
We
a
have both.
disservice. It's going to be a disservice to the kids who need the intervention, but then
We
it's
have-
going to also be
You're
a
not-
disservice to the kids in the classroom who don't need intervention. And now that teacher needs to spend additional time with the couple of students that would have been getting intervention, and now the students who don't need help are kind of on the side somewhat.
Not at all.
Here's the
Not
thing.
at all.
You state that for every instructional coach that is hired, an interventionist is taken
Is
away.
removed.
So that's not keeping both. That's taking an interventionist away.
But we still have, I mean, what I'm saying is we have
Yes,
4
if
per
you-
building of
yes.
interventionists, which if you go into RTI and MTSS, it's out of whack right now. Well, it's out of whack in the amount of kids. That's tier 3. That is
Tier,
not.
right, tier 3, absolutely. And we were supposed to be seeing a special ed
And
audit
you
that
understand that- you know the
yes,
triangle.
I thank you. I know RTA very well.
So
When I'm telling you-
the percentages are completely out of whack.
What I'm telling you though is you were supposed to present to us a special ed audit completed by Colleen that we never saw. If you would have maybe given us that information, we can maybe see your rationale and see the numbers. But we've gotten nothing, Chris. Nothing.
And we talked
So
about-
right now, it just looks like you are literally taking instruction away from a child to coach a teacher.
To coach a teacher to fix that.
Yes, but
discombobulated-
what I'm saying is, I understand the reasoning behind it. I'm saying this is not the time to do it with the crazy of a pandemic going on. We are going to need interventionists more than ever come the fall for these children, and I cannot preach that enough.
And you can say that you gave it to us in emails, and you probably did, but this is the very thing that we discussed when we did away with committee of the whole meetings. We already talked to you about Bud. We don't get an in-depth thing. This is the kind of discussion that should have been at a committee of the whole, where we're all 7 sitting together, and you come to us with your rationale and say exactly what you did. This is what we're going to do. It's in the board goal. This is how it's going to, so that there was some questions and a way for us to ask our questions and to voice our concerns. And ultimately, maybe you could have answered them. Maybe we would have been all right with that. Maybe we still would have had a question. But this isn't the way to do it. And I agree with Shannon. This is not the time to pull that stuff away. The numbers may not be out of whack, but and then to take it from Title I. And if we don't get Title I money, then what happens? I mean, I'm not anticipating they're going to take anything away. Is that a stable job? I mean, is it a stable job? Title I money, you wonder about, is it going to be there, is it not going to be there? The state is, this is federal money, but we all know what's happening with money federal. I think the board deserved to have a meeting where this was discussed, and we could ask you our questions, share our concerns, and you could have answered it then.
Are we looking to hire from inside for these positions?
Yes.
And for the interventionists that would be no longer have a position as an interventionist, would they be released completely, or would we be looking to bring them back in to the fold either as a coach or a classroom
What I
teacher?
worked with the union, and the union is in favor of this, is that we do it from within, and then, the individuals, if they apply and they're an interventionist and they get it, nobody moves. But if they don't even want it, then if people shift, then we do collaboratively the involuntary transfer process, where we look for voluntary and involuntaries first, and then go from there. But yes, no one's losing a job on this.
Did you work with Tony on this, or did you work with Arnavez as well?
I've been working with, we have an instructional support system committee, and I've worked with
Right, but you said
Tony
you worked
and-
with the union. Was
Yeah,
it
Tony.
strictly just Tony, or, okay.
So
and the committee of every building rep and the executive team on the instructional support system development, we were making, this would have come through that committee had the COVID not happened, then I worked a little more with Tony from there.
So if the school that has 4 interventionists, and you're gonna put in, this coach, and what happens if the interventionists that are there say, I don't really want to be a coach? Maybe they're not the best choice. We have some that probably are fine interventionists, and that was the problem with this the first time. It was who the staff was coming in, and the lack of training and all of that. And so we wound up with, 2 extra interventionists that don't want to be coaches. Then what? Then what do you do?
Involuntary transfer
So
process.
they would be
To
enforced.
where? No, if there's not another interventionist, they don't want to be a coach, and they want to stay an interventionist, or where are you going to put them?
Appropriate licensing and vacancies.
So whoever becomes the coach, that interventionist could potentially go into the position. So say like a 7th grade science teacher becomes a coach, well now that interventionist, as long as they can teach science, would become
Well,
a 7th
that
grade
sounds
science
good,
teacher.
but if we're talking about mostly, it looks like mostly elementary, because you already have them here.
Right.
How many elementary teachers are gonna,
There are already, and the reason it was 4 to 7 is I didn't know, I was studying the dynamics of it here. And so they don't have to change the dynamics, they have 2 coaches already and the 4 interventionists here already. So that is the model that I was going after. And so the number I think is gonna be 4, 1 each from the other elementaries, and then 2 from Lincoln, but there's actually, I think, a couple of vacancies.
So
Those
how many,
areas already
just
for
the whole, what does it look like? How many in each elementary school, how many coaches are gonna be there, and how many interventions? 1 coach per
The
building,
smaller buildings, 2 at Lincoln, 2 at GW.
and you just said GW already has theirs.
Yep.
And so then how many interventionists?
3 at the smaller schools, 4 at Lincoln, and 4 at GW.
So there's still going to be 3 interventionists at each. How many interventionists are there now? Are there 4 in the smaller schools?
That's
So
a ton,
there'll
isn't
still
it?
be 3. You
Isn't
can
that
tell.
enough?
You can tell me all you want, but that was not in any MTSS email you sent us, Chris. You did not
But I'm
tell
just
us
saying,
that.
isn't that
Right.
a
But when I'm
decent
saying
amount of interventionists? That's all I'm saying.
no, it's not. It is a decent amount. I am saying we could use even more interventionists, especially to meet these kids' needs after this COVID crisis. I'm telling you, please bring it up again in a year from now. That's all I'm saying. Just let us get through this re-engagement into school. Let us get through help these kids through this transition. And then let us revisit this a year from now. That's all I'm asking.
Because there's nothing attached here that I just asked you that question. There's nothing you gave us that shows what exactly this whole program is going to look at. I agree with Shannon.
And please
This is not the
know,
time.
I'm not questioning the need for coaches. I'm not. I'm concerned about the timing. That is my
I hear
main
you.
concern.
I respect
Call
that.
the roll, Char.
Okay, Olivia Quintero,
Yes.
Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
No.
Marge Bissett,
No.
Sharon Anderson,
No.
George Suarez.
Yes. Motion passes. Next action item D, approval of resolution. I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the insurance 2020-2021 salary multi-year contract holders as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I think,
Do I have a second?
Second. I'll second.
Okay, Vito, gotcha.
All right. Any comment?
And this is for multi-year.
okay.
Call the roll.
No,
No, I'm looking for something.
I couldn't
So-
open open my packet to get up with this is,
Yeah, the internet's really.
right, is kind of crazy.
So,
I'm trying to.
last meeting, when we were sitting in here, you said you were recommending no increases for admin staff.
And I said there was a couple.
No, that's not what you
And
said.
not only that,
You
but
said there would
what
be
he
no-
said
you said
also
even
was
you.
the extra responsibility that were gonna be put on certain individuals.
He did say that, yes.
Was going to be the adjustment of
He
salary.
did say that. So my question is, why the increase outside of additional duties when A, you said that we weren't going to have any, and then B, why the increase for Colleen and Ruby when you, because you stated
No,
they were.
we're not voting on that one
Never
now.
mind, never mind. I'll hold that Colleen and Ruby.
So
one till next time.
yeah, because I have questions on it. So the salary for
My stupid mouse. over there.
Costello principal, Edison principal, the curriculum director, and Gary Wheaton,
Oh, that's
those are the
correct.
salaries they made this year. There's been no increase.
Okay,
Correct.
so there's no increase for them, okay.
Okay, Olivia Quintero,
Yes.
Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
I'm gonna pass for now.
Margie Bissett.
I'm gonna vote no, because we're giving increases to some, they should all get a salary increase then.
Sharon Anderson,
Yeah, I gotta say, no, you can't pick and choose.
Shannon Johnson.
Came back to me already?
I know, right?
Can I just abstain?
George Torres.
Yes. Motion passes. Action item E, looking for,
Me.
yes, that's what you
Said
Yeah, that's.
That's
the
where I
one.
was eating.
I can't hear you again.
I'm sorry. I say D, do it.
I'm sorry.
Okay, action item E, I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution authorizing single-year administrators contracts licensed and non-licensed for the year 2020-2021 school year and determining as presented, including the amendment of pending the approval of district reclassification language during the term of the agreement.
I'll make that motion with the amendment.
I'll second that.
This is the Colleen and Ruby one, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you said that you wanted to give them an increase because you felt that they were being under.
Colleen's not an increase.
So just Ruby's the increase.
And Teresa
And
Silva.
Teresa Silva.
Oh, yes, the motion is just
Um,
like that.
So Ruby's an increase and Teresa's an increase, but yet those were the salaries that you put into place last year when we hired them for these positions. So why were they lowballed, for lack of a better word, last year as opposed to this year? Is it because you're giving additional duties? Or, I
No,
mean,
that-
you're the one who came up with
yeah.
the salary, so why are you claiming now that they're low?
They're disproportionate from the others. You know, the size of the building, well, you know,
Where do you
Lincoln is our biggest elementary school, and she was making the lowest amount. It's a big building, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
important,
don't
though.
doubt that, but a lot of our other principals have been around longer, more experience. But you're right, I mean, I always thought that we should shuffle
And then
them around by,
The EL1 is over 30% of our population. You know, she's taken on also, there is an additional duty there that, taken on the multicultural and diversity aspect of curriculum and instruction. So she has taken on extra duties, and it is the biggest subgroup that we have, and it brings her up to the same as the other directors.
But it's a $10,000 raise. $10,000. You're the one that gave us a figure last year, and then we came back and it was less because she was going to do communications, and then she didn't. So then you brought her back at a lower rate, and so now that's $10,000. That's $7,000 for Teresa Silva. Those are pretty hefty raises, and we overlooked everybody else. They didn't get anything, and we're given, $17,000 out in extra salaries.
I missed a deficit.
Right.
Call the roll.
Olivia Quintero,
Yes.
Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
Want to guess? No.
Margie Bissett,
No.
Sharon Anderson,
no.
George Torres.
Yes. Motion passes. Action item F, I'm looking for a motion to approve the reclassification of central office positions and salaries with additional duties for Charlene Electronica in the amount of $79,500, Vivian Cordova in the amount of $76,500, and Deanna Leakes in the amount of $46,000 beginning July 1st of 2020 as presented. Do I have a motion?
Is it Diana or Deanna?
It's
Diana.
Diana.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Well,
so,
hold it. Oh, go ahead.
so, Sharon, am I right? This, you added some attachments to this, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess I'm looking, if you say they're taking on extra duties, so is it fair to assume that you split the jobs up that Lori and Chris were doing, and you put them around? In my mind, just because I did the job, I don't understand how you can ask the superintendent's secretary to take on too much more. Unless you've cut back on some other places, I don't see that happening.
Can I piggyback too? If the superintendent secretary is doing all of this work, what is our assistant superintendent doing? Because this to me seems like more of assistant superintendent duties that should be added onto that plate. Sorry, Marcia.
Right, no, and so it just, the HR, what is the HR general? Who is that? So we don't have a receptionist anymore, is that what you're saying?
We all, that's a location thing, that's something that doesn't, demand the full day's worth of time. There were some inefficiencies that we had to get to the bottom of, and that was one of them. We have buzzers, I think over in payroll, in the suits office, and at the front desk, and we chip in.
So, and I understand you're looking to take the subs away, and that was a job that was added to the receptionist as a way to increase the salary at one time. So, but this now says to me, we don't have a receptionist anymore. We have this generalist. So she's going to be working for.
We've added duties.
Okay, so she's going to be
She's
like
gonna be a receptionist?
she's going to be like the secretary.
It didn't eliminate, anything where we're dividing up duties, and it doesn't mean we're not going to answer the doors with the phones.
Okay,
We're
so
gonna answer
does
the doors with the phones.
Does the receptionist still handle free and reduced lunch?
I believe, that's, if I can ask Brian, I'm not sure exactly where all of the duties fell. I think she's still working with the free and reduced lunch.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Question. I know what Shar does, and Shar, I'm just looking out for you because your plate is already full. What does Vivian do right now?
She was in the tech department, we were
Right.
working with Skyward.
Right.
And so she's
So
gonna
that's the
come-
same Vivian.
That's the same Vivian.
Okay.
She's going to come over and take on the duties of the secretary to the curriculum director. And guys, we can't predict all of the future. What we're
Right.
doing is, as we're going through, we're going to assess. If anyone's drowning, we're going to throw them a life preserver and try to readjust. But we made some serious cuts down there, and I think, working with Skyward, I think, she's a hard worker, Viv is a very hard worker, and I think we're going to see how much, we're going to adjust on the fly if need be, but she has a good grasp of a lot of the things that were done by the secretary of the curriculum director, and she's fitting so far, and we're learning and working that dynamic.
She's not so much of my concern as Diana, because she was having a hard time fulfilling her duties as a secretary alone. Like, oftentimes the phone wasn't getting answered, things weren't getting returned, there were a lot of complaints with that. And I'm concerned if we're adding more to her plate, is she going to be able to juggle that?
She's very bright, very self-initiative, forward-thinking, and just finished a degree, and she's.
I'm not questioning her intelligence.
No,
I'm questioning her.
It
No,
really
no.
it's not personal.
It's not personal. I'm just questioning. I'm concerned.
It's not personal.
Excuse me, it's not personal. I'm concerned because I know that there were some complaints in her production of work before. And I'm concerned if we're adding more duties to her plate, is she gonna be able to juggle
We
that?
will be
And what's
monitoring
changed?
it and then adjusting as need be, but, we needed to make some cuts. There were some inefficiencies. She's a bright gal and has a broad base of education and is a self-initiative. She has a lot of self-initiative and is willing to take on these things.
What is,
Might we have to adjust? We might have to adjust.
no, I understand you might have to adjust, but then is her salary gonna be adjusted to reflect if duties are taken away? Or is she still gonna be getting this salary?
I don't intend on, they're adding a lot of duties. I want to make sure nobody's gonna drown.
Absolutely.
And
Right.
so we're throwing some money towards them, but we're throwing a lot of work at them.
I'm not questioning that. I'm questioning though, if you see that they're drowning, if Shar starts drowning and she can't take all the extra work that was thrown at her, is this compensation going to be
No,
reassessed?
if it comes to a point where I think it's ability or competence in the position, there's this evaluation system for that. But I don't intend on taking money away as we adjust. We're going to find a fit for these dynamics for all the central office. We've taken a lot of cuts there, and it's going to take a feeling out time. But I don't anticipate, if I anticipate something's wrong with the duties and they can't keep up, there's an evaluation process. But
And I know there's but what I'm asking though.
I said no already. I did say no to, am I going to take money away?
Take this, no.
I said no.
So if they can't, I just want it on record. If they can't handle all these new duties, they're still going to be getting paid the same salary? Or are you saying through the evaluation process, if they can't handle the new duties, they would be let go from their position?
And not
I've
because they
addressed
can't.
these already.
Oh, no, now you're not answering my question.
No, I've answered it. You're changing the language.
No, you're changing, I'm
don't-
asking, this is my direct question, okay?
Yes.
We are increasing these employees' duties, and in turn, we are increasing their salary. And you said there is an evaluation process to assure that they can handle these increased duties and
That's
their
not what I
jobs.
said.
That's
not
he
what I
said if they start failing, then
Right.
there's the evaluation.
There's systems of this. There's steps. First is we have to see, did I overload somebody? Is that my issue I need to
Okay.
rectify? That's step one.
Sure,
Once we find the balance, then if there's still issues that somebody can't do, I wouldn't take money away. I would assess the skill of the work happening.
right, so wouldn't you kind of know that before increasing a salary? Wouldn't you kind of know what duties you're going to be assigning to them and whether or not they can handle this on their plate before increasing a salary?
Not when you take risks. When you take
Oh,
risks
so now we're
like
taking
this,
risks with taxpayer money. Thank you, I'm
Because
good.
we're not, my,
you
my,
got what you want.
my,
Call the
no,
roll.
no,
We
I
know
don't,
your
I haven't
position.
asked a
We know your
question.
position.
No, I haven't
Hold on.
asked my
Don't
question
worry,
about the
Ian,
right.
it's not
Not
You
asking
can't
my
discuss
question.
an item and attack personnel.
We're not attacking. I have a question.
If the,
Yes.
the court.
Felicia, are we not allowed to have discussion?
You can have
Discussion
discussion
is
along
been done.
with Kelly. It's up to them.
Is she
Oh,
gonna, is she gonna coordinate the substitution program with, along with the, who you wanna bring on? And you also told us about a temp you wanna bring on, under when you talked about restructuring. And it's not in here.
Sorry, I had it on mute. Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
No.
Marjubisa.
No, and I still have a question about the temp you wanna bring on, because I don't see it here anywhere. And you said that in your email, you wanna bring a temp on. You said that in your email, but I don't see you
Shannon
asking for it
Anderson.
here.
No, but my question was, if you see that it's too much for them, I think they're all capable.
George Norris.
Will you
Yes.
bring on someone else?
Moving on.
That's my
After
question,
you
and
got
that's
rid of
about
two
the temp
people.
that will probably become permanent.
But again, he only answers to certain people, not everyone.
Action item F. I'm looking for a motion to approve the reclassification.
Didn't we just do that?
Oh, sorry. Action item G. I'm looking for a motion to approve the termination of non-contractual employees Henry Crescent, Costello Library Aide, and Child Care Program Director, effective at the end of the 2019-2020 school year. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a question. Are we cutting the Costello library aide position?
We are cutting Sandy Creston's position. We're gonna look at the dynamics of the library and assess that overall. We've got the summer. We've got to look at things over the summer and what the guidance is gonna be by the state. Right now, a lot of these are proactive to take steps and see where we're gonna end up. So that's gonna be kind of like
So my question is, are we cutting all library aide positions right now?
no, this
Just
one
this
is
one.
not union. This is a combined position with the before-after
Right.
care supervisor director position.
So because it's not union, then it's not by seniority? So, okay, so would so the other library aides are union?
If they are part-time aides are not.
Okay, so my question is then, why wouldn't Sandy be offered a position since she has such seniority here and she has a proven track record? Just like you're doing with the aides, you're ripping by seniority.
And those are still possibilities we can look at depending on individuals who come and go. This is not a dishonorable discharge of any sort.
Well, I think that should be put into the language, then, number one. But number two is, why isn't she be given the opportunity to work as a library aide in another school because she has more seniority than another library aide?
Or just to stay at Costello as a full-time library aide like the rest. I mean, in your email, it's pretty clear that you want the district to eliminate the before and after school program. That's what you said. So if you're going to do that, then I understand why you want to terminate her as the child care program director. But what I don't understand is if she takes that job away, she was, until this came up, she was the library aide at Costello. Take the library aide off of this and make her with every other library aide. Because, and I have questions on the other motion, because you talked about all the aides being RIFed, reduction in force. But then there's the health aides and those 10 instructional aides that we're getting rid of.
It's a reduction of force.
It's ripping.
But you only listed their names. Well, that's a question for the next. But I don't understand why we're doing both to her. I don't understand why we're getting rid of the child care program, because we have so many parents that are dependent on that. So I have a question with that. The camps, and I know that some are make more money than others, but we have had to turn people away because we don't have. And we didn't have enough people working. That program is important to the people in this district. That being said, if you're going to move ahead with that, I don't think it's fair to not just leave her as the Costello library aide and treat her as the Costello library aide. Why they were put together?
We can bring it back if
I don't want to bring. I don't want to let her go. I mean, I don't want to let her go from the library if we're not really we're reducing in force. We're terminating her here, so she's gone. It says I approve the termination of non-contractual employees. We're terminating
because she's
her.
not union, correct.
Right. And my question is,
But that still affords us the opportunity to bring it back. We don't know what's going to happen in August. We don't know. Is there going to be any allowance of these types of programs? But we have to make the moves now that we can. I was reading an article just about all the cuts happening throughout the nation with the funding problem that's going to come.
because
I can't sit on my hands on that.
I truly get that. I get it. But if we're reducing in force on other library aides, then if we're going to terminate her as the child care program director, and then you'll have to deal with the parents who are unhappy about that. Why we're not leaving her as the library aide at Costello, and then you can decide what you're going to do with all of those aides when the time comes. Rather than get rid of her, she's been with the district a long time, she doesn't find a job, so it's not as though we're getting rid of her because that hasn't worked. It seems like we're getting rid of her because you want to get rid of the child care program. And that's your decision. But the thing is that it doesn't seem fair to her. And I would like...
We're punishing her for being non-union.
Right.
We're doing this to see what it's going to look like next year. And we need some flexibility, and we have to think
Then why are
financially.
you riffing all the other library aides with the 10 that are You know what I'm saying? If that were the case, and I understand your rationale, but isn't it the 10 plus all of the library aides for riffing until we know what the situation is coming back?
And right now, this is a heavy agenda. I mean, there's a lot here, and we're still looking at areas and things to consider.
So that is a possibility in the near future, depending on how you see the school year going, that the library aides, or there could be additional
We're going to
reduction in
continue
force.
to look at areas of staffing and see where we're going.
But why, because we're looking at areas and seeing where we're going, and because she's not contractual, why are you choosing to do it now and not when you know more, say, in August or September?
There's no summer program happening.
There's
Summer.
not even like a virtual,
No.
anything like that?
I asked, it
Okay.
can't be done.
So she was just a 10-month employee then, because there's no summer
There's
program?
12 months.
12 months.
12 months.
That's a big reason.
Right. So, but again, though, taking away her job as a library aide to me doesn't make sense because we still need library aides at this point, and we're keeping the other ones. I understand because there's no summer programs. I understand if whatever you're trying to do with the after school and before school care. But what I'm saying is that the library aide position right now at Costello is not being eliminated. We're just firing her from it.
I have a question. Why didn't she ever join the union? Was that not offered to her? Because she came in
The salary is
contract?
significantly higher than any other.
Mhm.
It's upwards of $52,000.
Oh, that's
That's
why.
The
Okay.
other thing is that the director.
You're cutting the highest salary.
director is not an aide.
Right.
It was separate. She was the library aide. And then we had an outside group that did childcare. And it didn't work out. YMCA, it didn't work out. So we went on our own and started this program. And it's built over the years. And it's a necessary program, and I'm really concerned that it looks like we're taking it away. But then I would like to move to amend this motion that let me think about how that the termination of non-contractual employee Sandy Crescent, child care program director.
But he just said the reason why they're letting Sandy go is because she makes the most money.
But if they take her out of that position and put her back as the library aide,
But
then
because of her seniority, she'd still be getting paid more. So and this is typical of superintendents. They do this all the time. It's not okay. It's immoral. It's unethical. He's looking at the mighty buck because they can hire somebody into the Costello position and pay her less. So basically, and I love that this is on record, Sandy Crescent is being let go because she's done a fine job for 30 years in this district and she makes too much money.
and
Question
the
for-
board is
with
going to have
herself.
to take the wrath of the parents
For
when they
30
find out
years.
you're getting away with
A
that.
30-year employee, why didn't she ever join the union?
Maybe why would she have to?
I mean,
I don't
you
think
got
she
You
can.
don't
I
have
don't
you
think
have
she
all
can.
these other aides that joined the union, and
I don't
if
think
you
she's
let one of them
eligible.
go, there's going to be a big issue
Yeah.
with that.
I don't think.
I'm
I
not
don't
sure
think
how their
she's
union works
eligible.
there. Yeah.
Because of her director.
But had she been a part of the union, he would not be able to do this for her.
Olivia
So-
Federo? Yes. Vito Campanelli? Vito?
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez?
Yes.
Shannon Johnson?
No.
Marge Ugasek?
No.
Sharon Anderson?
No.
George Torres?
So when are we going to let parents know that you're not going to have a childcare program, before and after school program?
Moving on. Action item
So the
8.
superintendent can't answer question directly
I'm
towards this?
looking for a motion to approve the resolution.
I'm
glad this is gonna be taken
I
out.
cannot wait for this to be over.
Reduction
Let's see if we
force
can edit
shall be honorably dismissed effective June 5th, 2020 as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Where are we at each? I'll second.
Okay, I have a question. When I read this resolution, up in the section where the last whereas, so it says the board is determined to reduce in force the paraprofessional/aides, number of paraprofessional/aides employed by the board by honorably dismissing and aides to wit, daycare aides, health aides, instruction aides, food service aides, clerical aides, library aides. And then it says identified in Exhibit 1. So here's my confusion. What are we really doing here? Is every aide we have being
eliminated for now. And I know you want to talk about, you don't know the plan for opening a school, and I understand that. So when we come down here, I want to make sure that I understand what we're voting for. So and you're shaking your head, so I'm thinking you're not getting rid of the clerical aides and the library aides, and we're not reducing them in force?
We have upwards of 50, 60 some aides. I
I
don't
thought it
know.
was 62
Brian
or
would,
something.
Okay,
Brian would know the number, but
Okay.
this adds up to 16.
okay. Okay, then that's not my question, because I know we have a lot of aides, and they're mostly instructional aides.
You were asking if they were all of them. No, it's not all.
So what does that mean in that? So does that, if voting on this resolution, a yes vote keeps all of those other aides and the 6 health aides, and so this only affects the 6 health aides and the 10,
Instructional.
On the exhibit.
and every other aide is gonna stay there. And I know you gave us your rationale about certification and all of that, and then this leads to, and that's why the crowd is out there, this leads to hiring of LPNs and RNs, which is a huge amount of money. You couldn't even find them last year. You yourself said they had to go through an agency, and we have spent $262,000 to date at the agency for, and I know it's only nurses, not only nurses, but when you go to an agency, it's so much more money. And what they did in the past, and I think this discussion came up, we hired our own nurse. And so the health aides, because a lot of the work they do is clerical, and inputting of the stuff into Skyward, their immunization record, all of that stuff goes in, and that's what they do. They take attendance, they give the kids their medication, but the nurse was always in charge, and she visited the buildings to do that. So now by eliminating those health aides, who's going to do that job? Are you going to hire LPNs or try to get them? And if we can't get them, then do we have to go to an agency? Because we won't have any health aides now to check in all that paperwork when somebody comes in, 6th graders and kindergartens and new students, they look at the health form to do that. Who's going to do that job? And then the other part is, so if I'm clear, even though it lists daycare aides, health aides, and instruction aides, none of them are being let go. They will have a position possibly, but the health aides and those 10 instructional aides will not.
They're the ones being reduced in force, yes.
But if the need arises, so like if you go to hire LPNs and RNs and you can't do that, will these health aides then be brought back?
It really all is going to depend on appropriate
Is this a
compliance to
requirement
law.
from the governor? Is this a requirement?
No, what it is, number one, they are very, very restrictive. They cannot do certain things in the health office.
Correct.
With that, administer medication, a lot of things that we're not in compliance with and we don't have the appropriate individuals to do. With that, I anticipated getting more restricted. Some of the webinars and discussions we have talked about how we're going to manage a case and who's going to be qualified and prepared to handle that. So I don't know is where we're at right now, but we've got to be prepared not to carry both.
Right.
We've got to be prepared to be able to adjust. And this is a layout. If we get notified that these positions are suited to do certain jobs, we can consider coming back or we can consider options. This gives me flexibility in a time where we don't know where we're going to end up in August.
My thing is too, if my child were here, would I want a health aide that's not qualified giving my child medication or someone that's qualified?
Oh, they can't give
But you
medication.
can't.
A health aide cannot give.
Yeah, well, who's gonna do it
The
then?
nurse
The
would have
nurse
to come
does
and
it.
do it.
But-
So
Yeah.
that means we need an LPN or an RN in every one of our buildings.
Correct.
And if we go through an agency, that's a lot of money. And I can't believe every district is doing that. And where are we gonna get that money from? And I think it's a hard, so basically now, we've kept on a clerical aide, and I don't want anybody to lose their job. A clerical aide who does copying, but we don't have a health aide in the office, so, and then the other part to that, and I don't know if you have an answer for this, what about all the clerical stuff that those health aides do? inputting of all that information, are these LPNs and RNs, that's gonna be part of their responsibility?
That, you know, we're gonna try to match those duties with, I mean, if it's medical information they're putting in, then certainly they'll be putting in medical information. They can.
I just look at that Maxim bill of $262,000, and I know we probably won't be bringing aides back because you're getting rid of them. But, so there'd be no, I'm thinking in my mind now, there'd be no reason to get an aide through Maxim anymore, because you're letting go 10 aides. Is that reasonable?
I can't predict the future.
But you would have to call back these
I
aides
don't know if
based
they'll
on
be
RIF
back. I
reports.
don't, you know, I mean, it appears to me, Marge, with all respect, that you're trying to pigeonhole me into
No, I'm
saying
not,
something.
I'm not,
Just
you can take it any way you want,
I
but
know,
these are
and you're
questions.
taking things the way you want, and
Well,
it is-
that's fine, then we'll
Right.
agree to do that, but we have all these listed, then that's all you're doing. So you have a parent who says, well, they're gonna have a clerical aide, or they're gonna have a library aide, but I don't have anybody in the office, and now we're gonna, and you told us, we had to go with an agency, and I don't doubt that, because they make more money through an agency, a nurse, than they would if they're coming in on our pay scale. And so I understand that, but,
not acting now runs the risk of carrying both an agency or a nurse and an aide.
and so we would need to have a professional, be that RN, LPN, in every building. It's not possible to have a set number of maybe, 3, and they're in each school. Are you saying that the regulations that you have, that we have to have one of those professionals in every building?
That's not what I'm saying.
Then
I'm
I don't
saying I
understand,
want to be
guess-
prepared, to be flexible, to address the needs and not carry 6 additional salaries on top of a more expensive position. It gives me time to analyze and make a decision.
Then why aren't we sending this letter,
Hold on,
why aren't,
only
wait a
Marge
minute.
has spoken.
Why,
I still
why
have a
are not
question.
everybody's
Well,
name on here? This is where my confusion comes in. We have the health aides and those, if we're gonna reduce in force, why isn't everybody's name on here then? So we might not come back in September, I hope we do, but we might not come back in September. Then why aren't we sending, this letter that you showed us, why isn't everybody's name on that chart?
Yeah, I understand. We assessed the IEPs, and the instructional aids was determined by the assessment of the IEP requirements. We looked at scheduling,
Yes, I get,
and we looked at, and there were 2 students in a grade level, same building, over here, and they both had aids.
right,
I'm gonna put them together and get 1 aid.
right. You
That's what
explained
we're
it to
doing.
me, and that makes perfect sense. My question is still, is everybody, all the aides, not just the ones that were listed in Exhibit 1 of the six health aides and the 10 paraprofessionals that are, the instructional aides that are on there, that we're voting on, is every other aide, the kitchen aides and the clerical aides and library aides, are they all getting this same letter? The same,
Only
No.
these are.
No, only these are right now.
okay, then, you know what,
So
I'm
then,
not gonna,
are those
I'm
other
missing
people gonna be
something there.
shuffled around to fill these vacancies? So like, I know that one of the people on here works in the severe room at Lincoln. And so is another aide that's already in the district going to take over that role? Because we still need an aide in that
Right,
position.
those are the kinds of assessments that we looked at, and this was the amount that we looked, I can't speak to every individual
That's just an example.
out of these, but that's the kind of assessment we did go through.
So then, because that room definitely needs an aide, is it somebody who's an aide somewhere else going to be moved into that? Like, those kids are still going to be
Probably,
covered?
yeah. I mean, that's a possible way that.
Okay, so what if the aides that we currently have say, no, we don't want to do that? Would one of these be called back and that person be let go? Because I know that a lot of our aides put their foot down and say, no, we're not going to do this, we're not going to work in this room, we're not going to do diapering. And we had this discussion before, how it's not a choice, it's part of your job. This severe classroom at Lincoln School, one of the aides that is on this list is in that classroom. Those kids still need an aide. So now if you go and ask Joe Schmo, who's a one-on-one with an IEP student in resource at George Washington, and say, well, now we need you at Lincoln, this is your job, and Joe Schmo says, nope, I'm not doing it, are they going to be like,
I
oh,
think we would look at it on a case-by-case basis and make the decisions along with the attorney's guidance and do what's appropriate. It sounds like that might turn into a personnel issue.
that's just one example that I can see coming, because I know it's hard to get that room staffed. You know it's hard to get that room staffed. And it really concerned me when I saw this name on here, because this person really cares about those kids. And I understand riffing has to do with seniority. Again, I don't agree with it. I just want to make sure that these people were given a number for callbacks, of like what order they're in, and all of that was followed.
Yes.
Okay.
Are the 10 being let go, are they predominantly classroom, or are they predominantly one-on-one?
Instructional, so I don't know, see, under instructional are a few categories,
Right.
but they're all instructional, and I can't recall right now where each one.
Do we have many classroom aides? I mean, other than gym, because gym's always combined classes, but do we have many classroom aides anymore? I mean, we've kept our I mean, other than the special needs rooms, we've kept our numbers pretty low in each of our classrooms, so I can't imagine we've got a lot of classroom aides. Do we?
That these were assigned to kids. You're saying
That's
rather
what I'm saying.
than-
It's
Because of
predominantly
the
like
class size, I don't know that we have too many of those, I'm not positive though off
So
the top
these
of
are
my head.
probably more likely like one-on-one instructional aides. That you're going to be combining other.
I'd have to look
Look
at
at
the
the
answer
schedule.
though.
Well, how did we end up with 60 then?
Because
I
they
know
didn't,
when
they didn't
Colleen
schedule
mentioned
them.
it, she said there were, I think, 2 point something or 3, and it's like, do you really need that many?
I remember
Well,
our
that's under
discussion
IEP.
though was that because some of the aides were saying, no, we're not going to do this, and then another aide was hired.
I
That's
think
what I'm
that's-
saying, like, that needs to be
And not only
clarified.
that, but a lot of the kids that deserted or had left the district, and we had a one-on-one, that person wasn't let go or anything like that, it was kept.
Right.
Right.
Whatever
And they
else.
kept that, and kept
Some of
hiring.
these kids were not
Right.
split up, so they can have
Right.
2 kids, but by law, they could take care of 2
Right.
kids and we had one.
As long as they had the minutes, and that's what Chris is saying.
Right.
So, and this is for Felicia, so I looked through stuff and I save random things. And there was an in-brief, it was from our former attorneys, anyway, that came out about when we riff educational support staff. So, and in this, and maybe it's changed, and that's why I'm asking you, because in this that I found in my file, it says, this goes back to, it was changed in 2012. So it says that if you're going to notice of the board decision to RIF, an ESP must be given 30 days prior to the employee's last workday. So does that not count now? Because it also goes on to say that if we're going to subcontract something, we have to give them 90 days. But we're not, at this point, subcontracting. We're just getting rid of, and not getting rid of, it's a terrible term, we're ripping them. So does that not apply? Is there something new
So
now?
there's, if you look at the statute that's in the resolution, it actually, what it allows is that if there is a situation where there's unforeseen circumstance, like unforeseen reduction in student population, then it allows you to give them 5 days written notice.
Okay,
So
that's,
it's COVID.
so then we're blaming, so we're blaming this on COVID, really, why we're giving them the 5 days notice.
Because it's the uncertainty of what's happening, not knowing whether or not
Okay.
there's, school will even be back in session in the fall.
But this,
So it's that, if you look at the 105 ILCS, it's in that very second
right,
paragraph.
yeah, I see it now.
Yeah.
So, but this brief about 30 and 90 days still stands in normal circumstances.
In normal.
It's because of COVID and we don't know. Okay.
One last
Call the
thing.
roll.
One last thing. Just like the custodians, I heard the aides were all notified today about this situation. But the thing is, we're voting on it now. So, like, what if the vote didn't go the way? I mean,
Right.
It was a notice of what I was taking to the board. I didn't want
Okay.
their first notice to be,
Got it.
from the agenda.
okay.
So
So
it
we'll
was a
get
notice
a
that
more
I'm
formal.
recommending- I'm recommending this to the
Okay.
board. If approved, I said they would get a letter. I would send out a letter tomorrow
Okay.
making it formal.
Okay,
We
because I was
did,
just.
we had a conversation with the union guy, and I always think you should give a courtesy notice that it shouldn't be coincided, so that's why we did tell him.
And it makes sense, because I wouldn't want to like find out because the agenda was posted either, but I was like, wait, how can you tell them when we haven't voted yet?
Just told him that it
I
was
get it.
one.
Because that was interpreted, and no matter how Chris said it to them, the interpretation out there is that it's a done deal. And I'm not saying you said that. I'm saying, he said was notified. But that's where the feeling is now.
Yeah, we
So
definitely didn't say
that clarifies it.
And I certainly did say I'm taking the recommendation.
Okay.
Call the roll, Sean.
Olivia Quintero.
Yes.
Vito Campanelli.
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez.
Yes.
Shannon Johnson.
No.
Margie Bissett.
No.
Sharon Anderson.
I have an issue with the health aid, so no.
George Torres.
Yes. Motion passes.
Oh, good. I'm gonna hit the rest of the room.
Okay.
No, I'll race you.
Spinning under the turn.
Hey, Marge, while we're on a break, can you do me a favor? Can you just text Earl and tell him I don't have my phone? So he's trying to get a hold of me. Leaving home with a 4-week-old without your phone.
How's that going?
It's going.
It's a boy or girl?
It's a girl, Charlotte Joy.
Oh, that's a pretty name.
Thank you.
My daughter's Natalie Joy.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Joy is my mom and my sister's middle name.
Very good.
Yeah, and I have my aunt's middle name, so I wanted her to have her aunt's middle name. So, and my mom, I love her.
10 fingers, 10 toes.
All there. I made sure.
Beautiful.
And
Does it feel good?
it's a whirlwind. For sure. It's amazing how a 7-pound, 8-ounce little thing controls your world.
They do.
But she is so freaking cute. So it's worth it.
Good,
And she already has she had a personality inside of me. She would do some crazy things on the ultrasound, and that's carried out to now. She gives me the finger at least 7 times a day. And I have many ultrasound pictures of the same finger up, so. But it's fun. We're just falling into a new way of life. We're old, we're set in our ways. So this is really,
It's a game changer.
it is.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change it.
Beautiful.
It's been a nice thing so far. And she sleeps really well, so I love her.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah.
Oh my God, these are so good.
Yes, it-
Is there only
Yeah.
one restroom?
Where would you?
Yeah, well, some regular restroom with 20
Oh, this
stalls.
house.
Sure, you got off here.
Uh-huh.
I would eat the whole bag.
Good, Sheriff.
But it's zero points.
So wrong.
Did you do Weight Watchers?
I have a pool
I
for
do
the
Weight
dogs at
Watchers.
home,
Do you?
Yeah.
and they don't go in.
Those are zero, I just looked it up.
Duncan didn't go in all last year, doesn't go in this year.
Crazy.
They go to Mrs. Manson's house,
I have
they're
it.
laying in the
Beautiful.
pool.
We gotta take a picture.
I
All right, all right, all right.
Labs. Don't they know there's
I
this
think,
little one?
there's 0
Fred
points.
hated water too. He was part of that.
Look at Duncan just laying in the pool. He wouldn't do it at home. I tried yesterday.
Megan would sit in the middle of the pool with sheets.
I did.
and Fred.
I did that last year, and Duncan
I
wouldn't
gotta
come
order
in.
it off of Amazon.
Now he's laying in it.
Well, Mrs. Manson.
Yeah, try it.
No, it's not Mrs. Manson, it's Sue.
Oh, is that the trainer there?
Oh, man.
Isn't it good?
Like root beer barrels. Yeah.
You know what, it's so good, it's anyone that's Weight Watchers.
How about an old guy?
It's not Weight Watchers anymore, it's WW.
WW.
Oh, root beer flame. I think it's just stupid.
These are great.
Oh, I don't know.
This is her.
Yeah.
And if you like them, this is what they are.
How many points are they? Or
Zero.
Zero.
They're zero?
That's the best.
Do you want some of these?
Give me
back?
20 bags.
But I'm sure 20 bags are
They are good now.
Have you been able to call and get an
Wanna try?
appointment?
I'll try one.
No, and I said I was gonna do that today.
I don't know if anyone's there to give an appointment.
Because they're not supposed to. And I said, I swear, one time I had Tiger's cell phone, because said he was thinking he was
Oh,
going to
we're
go
gonna
Sunday, and he was going to text me.
Oh my God, hilarious.
I wish I could, because he's going to be
So okay, Georgia, it's making the
Come
baby
on,
bottle.
it's gonna be
And I put a liner in it, and I pour the water in. I put the liner in, pour the water right through it.
First day you're in.
Happens to the best of us.
Mine quit, and so she's not doing it at all anymore, and I texted her and I was like, I
What
don't
was
care if
that?
you have to come to my house. I haven't found anyone yet, because my last haircut was my last haircut, like in February. I'm like, I don't care, you're coming to my house. I'll pay you double.
I gotta do something with these over here. This is disgusting.
I know, I had to chip off my dip.
Everybody's back.
I cut them off.
We're all back.
Came off.
So
I
now
didn't
we're
have to.
seven.
Oh, we're still paper thin.
Okay, Joe.
And now they just cut the
Looking for a motion to approve the resolution of authorizing Network Solutions, Inc. for support services and equipment upgrade as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have one quick question. Mine's super easy. One simple question. I know they said that they're not currently in our area. They're further south. So will they be able to be staffed enough to take us on as of July, I'm assuming July 1st?
Yes, and what they would do is I asked that same question, and there's discussion about how they would staff some on-site people here though. So even
That
though,
was going to be my next question, because when Amita decided that they were going to outsource their patient accounting, and the patient accounting company they were using didn't have anybody here, they hired everyone from Amita to fill those positions. That was my next question. Is that a possibility?
yeah. So
So we will have an on-site person.
on-site people, yeah.
Because they are 190 miles away from us. And I'm thinking that every time something comes up and somebody needs some help, they're not going to travel up, 3.5 hours.
But, I mean, and that was but they can do so much remotely. A lot, not everything.
Yeah,
But a lot.
I don't doubt that they can, but their technology department did more than just
Sure.
the network. There's times they were in with staff, they help with staff, so it was good to have an on-site person, and that's not what he told us he never mentioned, because I asked him, I said, you're so far away, and when he vaguely said, well, we have to work that out, that's not the same as saying, no, you will have an on-site person. The other thing is, in the email that you sent us, you said that you were going to recommend to us for a vote because, was the sole bidder. So my question is twofold. Did we actually post to have people bid this?
Yeah.
We did, because we didn't get a copy of the newspaper that we usually put out to bid. And I'm asking that because I thought that when you were doing technology, you don't necessarily have to bid if you're looking for and I don't understand the specific, whatever you need. If somebody, you don't send it out to everybody. If you need this, and the people coming in with their bid don't do this, well, we can go out and look for it. So I just wanted to make sure that we bid it, and because we normally get a copy of the newspaper article, the ad where it was put in for bid.
I'll send that to you.
Okay.
I'll send it to everybody.
And then
It's a bid
they were the only one that
The
did
bid
it.
notice. I'll send that to everybody.
Yeah, because we have one for the roof, so we don't have.
Yeah, and so, okay. Okay.
All well?
Olivia Quintero?
Yes.
Vito Campanelli?
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez?
Yes.
Shannon Johnson?
No.
Marge Ubisak?
No.
Sharon Anderson?
No.
George Torres?
Yes. Motion passes. Moving on. Action item J, looking for a motion to approve the attached agreement as written with Kelly Educational Services for the management and placement of substitute teachers as required by the district. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
I have a question, Chris. Is this going to save us any money, or is it just for the pure fact of actually being able to get subs?
We measured it out and it looked like it was going to be flat.
It would be flat. But this is going to definitely increase our sub pool. Well,
I hope
that's the idea behind it.
Yes.
I know you can't hear, that was a bad wording. The idea behind
Yes,
this is to
that's
increase
my hope.
availability.
To lessen the amount of internal subbing that really taxes the teachers.
And then, sorry,
No,
Marge,
go ahead.
one more question. if I read this correctly too, I just want to verify. Our current subs with the district, if they so choose, could they sub through Kelly?
Yeah.
Would Kelly take
Yeah,
them on?
there's gonna be an onboarding process, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
But that-
They will become their employees.
So we will, and it ties in with Shannon, so if we agree to this and have them take on the, so, in other words, we're outsourcing the whole program. We won't be hiring subs anymore, is that what the deal? Kelly will hire the subs, and I know we can't guarantee, and I hope they're more successful than we've been able to be.
And
So,
anyone's been able
and
to
it's
do
not,
that,
and
every
it's,
district.
and it's not gonna cost us any additional money, that's what you just said, it's flat. And so, they will no longer work for us. So their criminal background, all of that stuff will go through Kelly Services, and they will just be sending us the people. Okay.
And the scheduling is through Kelly Services, so no more
Right.
scheduling on our end. So
Yeah,
basically,
we'll
it's
still have
like,
to coordinate with them some,
sure,
but,
right.
correct. It
So
should-
any subs that are with us now, are they automatically gonna be with Kelly, or are they gonna stay with us?
Yes, we are going to do like a transition onboarding process for them.
But they can opt not to.
Oh, certainly.
But
Right.
then they wouldn't be our sub anymore.
Right. Then they
Okay.
couldn't sub parents.
So then this will tie back, when you said we have to work with them, this will tie back to one of the tasks that is gonna be, Diana's now, where it's said in there, coordinating with the substitute, that's what you were talking about,
Yes.
this, okay.
So she would be coordinating with Kelly.
Right.
With them, yeah.
But she's not gonna have to make those phone calls or anything, it'll be
Not the
Kelly
bulk
now.
of it, correct.
Okay.
Olivia Quintero,
Yes.
Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
Yes.
Marge Jubasek,
Yes.
Sharon Anderson.
Quick question popped in my mind whenever, do we know what kind of success rate they've had as far as, because the sub shortage is so low, like, do we know that they've been able to fill like 90 or 95% of their requests, or?
Do you have that exact info? I know we checked with Manheim, there's a few districts they have in Illinois,
Okay. I
and
was just wondering if.
was it
Mid-80s.
mid-80s, mid-80%?
Okay, yeah.
Yep. George Torres.
Yes. Motion passes. Moving on. Action item K. I'm looking for a motion to approve the BCG roofing bid for specified roofing repairs and replacement at Costello School for a total contractor cost not to exceed $160,050, and move to approve the BCG roofing bid for specified roofing repairs and replacement at Lincoln School for a total contractor cost not to exceed $78,231. Do I have a motion?
George, that's for a complete roof on both schools, right?
Those are repairs and.
Well, we gotta make a motion before
Yeah,
discussion.
motion, that's the motion. Is there a
I'll make
second?
that motion.
I'll second.
Okay,
Okay,
Vito.
now you can talk.
Oh, okay. Never mind, I already said it. so-
We get
Those are repairs, you said?
Repairs.
Repairs, yes.
Oh, not a complete tear.
Have we used them before?
Yeah, they are the ones that did our building here.
Yeah, building.
And building.
And because they were the lowest bidders, we by law have to go with them, correct?
No,
Well,
you
we
don't
don't
have
have to, but
It's Lois responsible.
You're responsible.
So if there was some proof that this company had a history of problems, or you can always justify it as they're not the lowest responsible.
and we also had a couple of hiccups with them, if you guys were aware of that. Our meeting day, when they completed that roof, there was a leak in Sheriff's office, so they kind of came through with them, but, we had a couple of things, but the next bidder was like not something that was, cost efficient, so it's
So-
a mess.
Okay, so you were comfortable with, and I thought when they had that roof leak, it was caused because the roof wasn't completed.
Well, no,
And-
it was completed, there was
Okay,
some sort of
okay.
event that was blocked for whatever reason, I didn't get a
Okay,
full spectrum
okay.
of that.
But
was
but-
unmentioned too.
but everybody is
complete.
comfortable with bringing them back, even though we
Right.
had that major leak with
We
them.
did share that, yeah, and then
Oh,
discussed
yeah,
that
we had,
extensively, and,
Okay,
Bob says he will be there
okay,
beginning of the day, end of the day,
Okay.
checking the
That's what I was
progress.
gonna ask.
yeah.
So Jen,
And-
I didn't hear you. Did you say they rectified it though? They rectified the
they
situation?
rectified the glitch or whatever it was, there was a vent that was blocked for whatever reason, maybe the material was in the way, or whatnot, so the way the rules work, they have like a drain, but then they have an overflow. So the main drain was blocked and the overflow kind of brought
Went
this
into
up.
Shara's office.
Did they
But-
compensate us for the
They
damage?
did not, and that was one of my problems back then, but with Bob going and discussing that with them, what they do is they use subcontractors. So that crew that we had here was probably not their best, but now with Bob being here, he's got 40 years of experience in a lot of this contracting, especially roofing, so he's gonna follow them to the teeth.
Is Bob the guy who owns the company?
No, Bob Koch is our maintenance director. Robert-
Oh, okay.
Robert Koch.
So, any of this cost, I know we got some money for Lincoln School, it's, any of this cost can be, is insurance or no? We're
Did we get
responsible.
one already for Lincoln?
Well, no, that's making one.
Not these bids, no.
Okay, the stuff we got from Lincoln for their insurance, then that was other damage, was it other?
That was the wind
Like the
damage.
wind
Storm
damage.
damage, they also took some of our rooftops or, splits and stuff.
I still have a problem with them not compensating, whatever.
Well, we had the same problem with the paving company that they utilized the last bit of money they used the system. We went back and forth with them, with that $1,000 that they charged. They were not much one payment, so.
If our new maintenance director sees they're doing the work, and he's not happy with it, I don't know much about roofs, for whatever reason, do we have any kind of pushback? Do we have anything, I mean,
I'm looking at you.
because if they didn't pay us for the damage that they, and that was a lot of damage to Char's office, it was huge.
It was.
A lot of damage, and they didn't give us any money. And now, we have somebody who knows about roofs, that's what you're saying, he knows about roofs, and he can do that. But he's not happy with what's coming on. What's our recourse? Because they've already kind of screwed us over once. And now, what can we say to them?
Yeah, what's your, it depends on your agreement. I haven't looked at it, but I don't know your agreement.
Yeah, we'd have to look at that and get back to you.
I think that, yeah, it's a concern for me. It really is, because, and if they would have said we made good on it, then I would think, okay, anybody can do that, but they didn't make good on it. That bothers me. And anyway,
Yeah, well, they limit themselves to just rectifying the problem that caused the flooding. But my question to them was, what are you guys going to do in restitution of damages in our building? So,
But he's not working with that subcontractor anymore as well, right? We're not gonna.
we're not going to get this.
Okay.
We know that for sure.
They know exactly. They know the history of and who they sent and no longer doing this.
I think we still should compensate us.
So would that fall into what you were talking about with the bidding? Like because that seems irresponsible to not compensate or not?
Usually when you say responsible, because that doesn't typically fall under responsibility, it's more of someone that has a history of not completing projects, or if you've got, districts that, because, you can call referrals, and if they say they're messy, or they're not timely.
But they went over budget repeatedly.
Yeah, so you can use, those are the type of things.
But not like this. Okay.
Because it probably would depend, and I know it probably would cost you too much money to fight it, depending on what the agreement said with respect to.
And George, you're saying there's a huge difference between this bid and the next bid?
Right, so
Okay.
the savings that we're getting with this new bid is.
Do you have an idea? I'm not looking for
He
a
wasn't
ballpark,
sure.
a ballpark
I
figure.
think it was
What?
like $25,000.
Is it attached in here?
It was, DCG was 116,
Okay.
Allen's and Mackin was 122. And then the next one was 142, so it was 16 to 22 is
Oh, here,
about
I missed
6
that
grand.
big summary. I see it, I'm sorry, yeah. That's okay.
And then the next one, the one from Ellen to L. Marshall, that was a significant jump. 20.
So then, the next one in line you're saying, I have to open this again, is $6,000?
Yeah, about. So
Oh,
it's,
here it goes.
DCG is 116 for Costello, Ellen's is 122. Lincoln is 78 for DCG and 94 with Ellen. So that one's a little bit more than 6. So that's almost like 20. Yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy that it's such a, well, Lincoln's bigger, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, but thanks, yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
so we got away.
Yeah.
Okay, Olivia Quintero,
Yes.
Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
Yes.
Marge Jubicek,
You know what, no, I can't support that because they didn't pay, I'm gonna have to be a no. It's not that, it's a lot of money, it's not that much money.
Sharon Anderson,
Yes.
George Torres.
Yes. Motion passes. Action item L, looking for a motion to approve a resolution authorizing notice to the Village of Lyons of the district's intent to demolish a structure located at 4112 Joliet Avenue, Lyons, New York. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Any comments?
Question, did I miss this discussion
No.
about demolishing that?
Why are we demolishing it? Why are we recommending that?
It's the amount of money to go into it, and what we're, the value of that versus what the usability and the potential risk. We were looking about, there's some concern that it shouldn't have been utilized anyways. So I'm still trying to find that information. There was some discussion about whether the building was suitable for individuals or not, and so we're trying to make sure our employees are safe, and if they shouldn't be in there, that we're looking into that.
Who's in there now?
Technology department.
But we don't know what's gonna happen with this new company coming on, if there would even be a technology, because there's a lot of storage over there too. So,
Sure.
did somebody, when you're saying a lot of money to go into it, did somebody come out and, because we went through this with Carol Baker, and the board stopped it, because we never had any kind of a report that said it was inspected and it's a hazard. Having an old building that needs some work is one thing, but we don't have kids in there, and there's a lot of storage in there. I know there's all kinds of stuff in the basement, and then there's all the records that are up in the second floor that need to come over somewhere. Those are records you have to keep. So I'm just saying, there's going to be a question of storage. Where are you going to put all that stuff? That's my question. Mainly, I want to know why. Did you have somebody come in and take a look at the building?
They were set to get a roof as well, and that
Yeah, I
was one of
understand
the-
that, but what are we basing this on? Did you have, like, a person come in and take a look at it and say, you know what, this building needs to be torn down? And
I
then,
talked to Bob to coordinate that.
well, I would like to know why
And
we're doing it.
The main reason for it as well, it's not only we have liability. We don't have any kids, thank God, in that building, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, we have human beings coming in and out of it. There is some sort of a history where we were talking to Carol, there was a concern for asbestos, and then there was a company that did something with asbestos during that time. And now, if we're gonna roof that building, it's not a super big building, but it's $40,000.
Well, I agree with you not to roof it now. I
We
think
not
it
only have
makes
to
sense.
roof it, but why are we gonna do with a structure that serves no purpose, and we're gonna put people's health at risk with the asbestos?
And that's what I'm asking though, George, is I want some kind of evaluation that comes in, because they mentioned asbestos, we had somebody come in, there wasn't I would have to have somebody look to see if there was like this big asbestos bill. I don't remember, I wasn't on the board then, but I was still working there, about having to use asbestos abatement then. Do I, we put some money into that building, but I want to know, if somebody came out and said, oh, you know what, wait a minute, this is structurally unsound. I'm not hearing that, so I guess I want to know why we're doing it. It wasn't based on, and I certainly I agree, don't put a $40,000 roof on if the building is no good. What are we going to do with all this stuff? And then, more importantly, what are we going to do with that lot?
Yeah, that's
What are we going to do with that
We
lot?
can use a lot of parking. There could be parking in that, green space / parking,
So the intent is that the school district would hang on to that.
of course. Then if you should buy the house next door to it, we wouldn't have the alleyway problem, but that's.
They
Well,
looked into
let's
buying
hope
that
that
house a long time ago, they wanted too much money for it.
But Carol Baker was driving me home from conference, and her plan was to demolish the Legion, buy the house on the corner, and build a preschool center right there. And I told her she was dumb because it's a,
Well, there's no.
it's a
parking.
busy street.
It's a
I mean,
busy
it's a
street.
main street through town. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's a side street. I'm like, you're putting preschoolers on a main drag down the middle of town. That's dumb.
I'm concerned about what we're going to do with all this stuff in there. This building that's out in front of George Washington, is it occupied by anybody?
The little annex?
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the annex.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can't even use that for storage. So I just
Where
want
would we move the tech,
That
Where we're
Mark's doing an
outsourcing.
assessment of the availability of
So
storage.
wait, what's in there? That's empty. I'm sorry, did you say that was empty?
The
No,
annex.
No.
we
There's
rent
a
it, we still
special
rent that
needs
building?
That's what I
program,
thought.
yeah.
Special
We
needs,
still rent
yeah.
that
The
building.
emotional handicaps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we
Okay.
renting it on West 40?
If it's.
Or are those
is it
strictly
Ladsy? I'm not.
Or Lansing? Yeah.
I
It's
think
one
it's
of-
on, I'm not sure, I think it's our program, but if not, it could be Ladsy, but I'll check
I
with
thought
Colin.
we got some money for that.
Yeah, I
it was
thought we
Ramsey,
rented it
got
out
like
to Lansing.
$5,000 or
It might be.
something.
I remember a little bit about that building.
Yeah.
I don't know
Right.
if you guys went.
It was a hellhole, and we remodeled it. And
Yeah.
put kids in it then. It was
And
terrible.
I remember, and I'll have to check,
Yeah.
but I remember they did, like Carol did an email saying it's deemed
Yeah.
inhabitable. And then we had a company, Midland,
Yeah.
does that sound familiar? Or is that the paper company?
Midland's a paper company.
The Midwest.
Someone came in.
Yeah, so they came in and they were gonna do it, and then I think Mark was gonna do the work.
Did the work where, to the,
To the,
To the
right,
annex.
to the, no, to the
Legion.
Legion.
Up to the Legion.
so I'm just
And
wondering,
then,
do we
I
have,
don't
is this
know.
something we have to make a decision on tonight, or can we get,
Well,
Can
the
we get the-
demolition of the building could be a month from now, 2 months from now.
This is just
What
a
we're
disconnect.
taking advantage of now
My
is
question is where does that building sit?
right next to the
Next to the
parking.
parking lot.
next to this parking lot here?
Okay, and
Yeah.
they're
Past
redoing the whole road, right, and sidewalks?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all being done. How old is the building?
Oh my God, it's a staple in Lyons. Do you know how many no, seriously.
I have my
Yeah.
sweet 16 there.
Yeah, do you know how many functions stands you
Basement
sign
goes
your...
up 7 feet tall and ends in like
It's a very,
crawl
very
space.
old building.
Yeah,
It is.
it's like for anyone who's new in town, you haven't lived here long enough if you don't know
Yeah,
the
what the-
Legion.
But
The
I,
parking is
The
where
skill,
else
exactly.
well, they had that outside bar. They had
Mine's
outside
in
bar.
Yeah.
That's good old
If
lines
it's
right
that
there.
old and they've already mentioned asbestos or whatever,
Yeah.
the roof.
And not only that,
By
but
it
we
getting
have
wet,
water,
isn't there
a separate
mold in
water
there?
line going into the building. That water line is wet as well, so and that doesn't get used.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the building's...
What I'm trying to get at is if we're redoing
And
the
there's-
streets and
What
the
is the
sidewalks
cost
are
for
being
this?
redone,
The
Nothing.
cost for,
that should just be
there's no
taken
cost
down
because the
now,
building
because
is
if you
taking
do
the
the
cost.
streets and then
Oh,
take it down
okay.
later, you gotta cut up the streets.
Yeah, but this isn't to vote to take it down, this is just to cut off the sewer and the water.
Yeah,
And the
service.
Village Alliance
And
is
then-
offering to do
But then,
it.
Right,
then
because
it's
it costs-
uninhabitable.
When you have a single family home, when you do that and flatten out single family,
Right.
it cost could be $20,000 to remove those stools. And so the village, since they're doing the street, they're doing it for free, so we're saving a substantial amount of money there. And
But we have to make the decision by the deadline, like by a deadline, right?
What's the deadline?
And demolishing the building?
No, just cutting off the
Cutting
sewer,
off the sewer.
cutting off
Right.
the sewer and the water.
they say they will do it, the sooner we'll approve it during this week, they'll take care of it. They have all the crews up there, they'll pull everything they need to pull.
Yeah, and this isn't voting to demolish tonight.
No.
This is voting to cut
To
off the
shut off.
supplies.
The services.
Which makes it
Uninhabitable.
uninhabitable. Thank you.
I get-
That's why it says intent to demolish a structure.
Okay, so,
Yes, that's-
so my other question is, and it's an old building, I'm not emotionally attached to that.
I am.
But
I think there's
the
animals.
thing is that,
Mark
the board
Ward,
has
Village
accepted the
Senior.
Village of Lyons, April 30th, 2020. Why didn't we hear about this before then?
It was literally like
It's a-
weeks
There-
after his break.
We passed that when Marty presented, even the roof was put on that, but it was no numbers, and there's, no, you weren't here, it was,
So, we heard about this
Yes.
water and stuff beforehand?
right, yes, and that was, they had no number, had nothing, we just, and then included the redoing of the curbs and the green spaces for,
Right,
Oh,
okay.
is that when Brian brought in the blueprints and stuff? Of
No, that was for the
everything?
street,
No.
that was like the street
That was
level
for our
and
parking
the
and
driveways.
Those
They
driveways?
have to redo the driveways.
yes, and there was part of that, but it had no number of it as,
To be able to tell them what's in it.
Leslie was explaining that by law, he didn't even have to do it, but he's giving us that projection of those projects. So like, they put during the time, roofing the building was like $40,000, which is like
No sense putting a roof on it.
and then the project on Joliet Avenue.
Yeah, I just, because there's questions out there, and I would like to be able to say, yeah, we had somebody take a look at that building, and it was deemed that it's not a structure we want to keep. That's a question out there. The other thing is, where are we gonna put all that stuff? The most important phone call I got, is the district gonna hang on, is that gonna remain ours?
It
Because,
is gonna be ours. It's
okay,
ours.
okay, because
We-
you know, well, yeah, I hope so. But the thing is that there's some people out there that think that perhaps this is all, we're gonna tear it down and everything, and then we're gonna come up money short, and then we're gonna sell that lot to the village. They've already got us selling the lot by Costello, so, you know, but so that's why I'm asking those questions. We're gonna hang on to it, where are we gonna store that stuff? Because I'd like to be able to say, we're gonna put it, because that's all we hear now is, there's no storage, we don't have the desks, we don't have storage, and we're tearing down a building that we wouldn't put kids in. And if it's still structurally sound, then why are we doing that?
We'll buy a shed from Home Depot.
There you go. They talked about putting up a garage a long time ago, but they never did.
We were talking about a storage container that looked more like a big shed. It was like, the appearance of it would be.
They looked at that building across the street to buy too at one time.
Well, isn't everything going digital or no?
Well, a lot of those records wouldn't even have
I mean, how old are they?
There's still paper copies that you have to.
We have to keep them. By law, you have,
If they're like
and then
30,
you
40
can't,
years old?
oh my God, some of them
Some of
are
them are
60 years
100.
old, some of them
Yeah.
are. The state of Illinois, you can go to jail.
Yeah.
You absolutely can go to jail if you destroy those. That's why Sharon has to look for permission all the time.
Are my records
Can you,
on there?
can you digitalize them? And they do, but the state never recommended it because if they change the program or whatever, your records are lost forever. She can show you, she's got a whole thing.
Yeah.
You cannot, when you go to shred, you have to show them that the state signed off on it. That's how strict
Oh,
it
wow.
is.
And some of the records you actually have to keep for 100 years.
Yeah, you can never,
100 years.
you can never get rid of
Yeah.
some of them. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Roll.
Okay, Olivia Quintero.
Yes.
Vito Campanelli. Vito Campanelli.
He
Yes.
keeps putting himself on mute and forgetting.
Who voted first?
Olivia voted yes. You're up next. And this is the roof, you know.
Yeah, I lost at the end to them before talking.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Winifred Rodriguez.
It was me.
You said this is the roof, or are we on L?
I'm sorry.
You're on the-
I'm sorry.
Mine
I'm sorry. No,
is
we're on
that.
the intent to demolish. I'm wrong. We're not on the roof. I'm tired.
Yeah, I thought we voted on the roof, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yes.
Vito's got the-
You're voting yes? Okay. And you know that what we're on.
And we normally have to go to West 40 for an application on this, if we would choose to demolish.
Oh,
Right, and we gotta get a comment as well.
But this isn't to demolish,
This
this
is-
is just to cut off.
But, I
some-
mean, if there's no water in it, we're gonna have to,
Right.
can't keep a
Yeah,
building
it's
with water.
understandable.
Winifred Rodriguez.
Yes.
Shannon Johnson.
Yes.
Mary Jubicek.
Yes.
Sharon Anderson.
Yes.
George Torres.
Yes, motion passes. Action item M, looking for a motion to approve the board of Education School Board meeting calendar for 2020-2021 is presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, Winifred got it, Vito.
That's fine.
We wasn't there.
No comments?
Yeah,
Yes.
no problem. 6 o'clock meeting
I-
starts.
One?
I was just gonna
6
say,
o'clock
I didn't
meeting
catch that.
start.
Decided 6 o'clock.
You guys, we work.
Oh, it's
Not-
at 6, yeah. you're
Not
right.
everybody
Why are
works
we
in
changing
town.
it? I thought of that
Yeah.
right away, well, when Sharon pointed it out. Shannon doesn't get home sometimes until 5:45.
Yeah.
Why are we changing that? Parents can't make it to that meeting at 6 o'clock.
Do we really?
It's one meeting a
Yeah.
month,
Yeah.
it needs to be
It's
started.
one meeting a month, why would we change the time? Again, not everybody works in the village they live in. Like, some of us have to travel.
And that's it.
When
That's,
everyone was asked to make some of these special meetings, everyone like, yeah, I have no problem being
Yeah,
here.
no, no, no.
And a
Let's make
special
that
meeting
five.
is different. I can
Yeah,
make
that's
arrangements with my job to come in for a special meeting if things.
and they don't happen
You know
that
what I'm saying?
often.
I can't do that all the
And
time.
for the record, that was during the COVID crisis when I've been teaching from home. I'm hoping
And I
I'll be
was
teaching
teaching,
my
and I was
classroom.
working from
You were
home.
asked to make a.
Because this intentionally
We had, like,
makes it
expulsion
difficult
or
on
whatever.
board members to get here. That's not right. That's not right.
And then it makes it look like you don't want anyone from the public coming, because 6 o'clock, that's like people
Oh,
getting
they'll
home
show
from
up.
work or dinner or whatever. But yeah,
I'm
like
sure
some
they'll
of us
show
work.
up.
Yeah, but, okay, this is a different case today, but most people get here and they come for the 7 o'clock, they come for the 7 o'clock meeting. 6 o'clock, I don't see how you get away with that. You have 2 board members who can't commit to even being here at 6
So
o'clock.
look, 294 gets, well, maybe, I hope that's not what we're trying to do. I'm not gonna jump to that conclusion.
Well, but-
But 294 is messed up one day, I'm not gonna make it here by 6 o'clock. That's the problem.
Yeah, if there's an accident on I-55 and I'm not getting off work till 4:30, 5 o'clock, I'm not making it.
There's an accident on Juliet Avenue, and I'm on my way here.
Oh, give me a break.
Yeah,
I was
just
trying to
you're
hear
right,
from
you
you.
might have to go around White's or down
Can we
Lawndale.
amend
Oh,
this?
no, that is,
Can we amend this to change the time back to 7 o'clock?
6 o'clock, we're gonna approve it. and-
But here's the
No,
thing, George,
no.
you didn't
Well,
ask
we-
anyone
You didn't ask
if it
anyone.
was
We
okay for them.
understand, we're gonna take a vote and see what happens.
But, no, but listen,
But
why?
we know what's gonna happen, but the
Right.
thing is, you didn't bother to ask a single board member if it was feasible. You moved the meeting, it's not even a matter of it being a different day, you moved it back to a whole different time. Just because you live and work in this village, doesn't mean we all do. Some of us have to
The
work.
rest of the board members, they also work remotely, but.
But
You know what, I do have, I didn't go all the way down, and I didn't notice the time. And, I mean, sometimes I may be at work and I work downtown.
If
but,
there's a
you
train
know,
accident, you take the train?
No, I don't drive.
Oh, you just,
But
but
you
still,
can't
if there's
get
an
stuck in that.
accident or something?
That's not fair to board members, that really is not. That's almost like it's intentional. A special meeting is, and we didn't have very many of those. And if it's the length of the meeting, this meeting is going long, this is a jam-packed meeting,
This is
at a
yeah,
time when
there's
only
no
some people
people
can come in.
Can
And
we
so,
just table that, I mean,
you might have
for
to
now,
pass on.
leave it, I mean,
Why don't we vote on it?
No,
6
let's-
o'clock is,
I want to amend the motion that the meeting starts at 7, not 6.
why are we?
We have to have a calendar, we have to have the next
Well,
meeting.
Mayor Fred, you have the right to vote the way you want.
Right.
I know, but I'm just saying,
We're voting.
I didn't
It
even
doesn't
notice
pass.
the time, that's why.
Neither did I,
you know,
that's why I was like,
I
wait a
didn't
second.
When
either at
someone
first.
said 6 o'clock, I was like, what,
Well,
I
I don't
scrolled
think
down.
there's any,
That's
you know
what
what,
I
I move
think,
that we
same
change the time to, back to 7 o'clock.
Make the motion to,
I
can
did,
we make
I
that
just did.
motion? I'll second that motion to change the time to 7
And
o'clock.
it's because of convenience for people to get here. Having them come here at a meeting at 6 o'clock at dinner time is not fair to board members. It's not fair to board members
It's
for
not for the
anything.
public either.
Plus, if I
And-
come straight at 6, that
So-
means I haven't eaten at all.
That's right.
And
Okay.
You know how hangry I'll be?
So
You
now-
don't like me now. Just give me when I'm
So
hungry.
now we have to vote on the
So
time
now
change.
we're doing a motion to amend the board meeting calendar with the amendment of the board meeting time from 6 o'clock to
Back
7.
to 7.
Then,
Marge made the motion, I need a second.
Okay, call the roll.
this is, right, so this is on the motion, this is amending the time.
Yeah. There's nothing to do with the dates, just the time.
Just the time. This is a motion to amend the time of the calendar.
Time only.
Okay. So, Shannon, right? Okay, Olivia Quintero,
Yes.
Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
Yes.
Marjorie Bissett.
Yes.
Sharon Anderson.
Yes.
George Torres.
Yes?
Okay.
Thank you.
So now the motion is to approve these dates at 7 o'clock, correct?
Quick, just one super quick, because I wasn't gonna whip out my calendar and check every date. Did we, make sure that none of these fall on a holiday or, you know, anything
And
like
they're
that?
not really, really close to a holiday, because like the Christmas one was like the 23rd or something. Who wants to be the
The 15th, okay, I just wanted to be sure that it wasn't,
Thanksgiving is like 2 days before, but it's not.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure that there's nothing, we've had to like move them in the past because of, parent-teacher conferences or
Right, right.
whatever, so like, we have no conflict like that. Okay,
So now do we vote?
for the calendar.
And do we have to
So
make
we
a
have a first
motion?
and a second already.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so Olivia Quintero,
Yes.
Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
Yes.
Marjorie Bissett.
Yes.
Sharon Anderson.
Yes.
George Torres.
Yes. Motion passes. Action item N, looking for a motion to approve the 1-year extension and 30% increase of the contract renewal agreement for school year 2020-2021 as presented. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll, yeah. Go ahead.
Wait a minute, Winifred, you did the first,
Yeah.
and then,
I'll second that.
okay. Okay. Olivia Quintero,
Yes.
Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
Yes.
Marjorie Bissett,
Yes.
Sharon Anderson,
Yes.
George Torres.
Yes. Motion passes. Action item O, looking for a motion to approve the audit engagement letter with Baker Tilly to provide audit services for school year 2020-2021 in the amount of $38,000. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Vito?
You really will.
I just have a comment. I find it difficult to vote yes for them because they, when Nick got up and talked to us about that whole budget thing, I asked him, I said, Nick, doesn't it seem strange to you that the auditor is now going to be coming in to work on our budget? And what he said was, no, because we're not going to change any numbers, we're just going to, finish up and do what we did. Well, that wasn't the case. Because we went for, and I'm not judging why we did it, I'm not going to get into that whole discussion, but we went from a budget that had a small surplus to a budget that was now $1.6 million in deficit. He also brought in the township treasurer. When I checked with the surrounding feeder districts, the township treasurer never comes in to work on the budget. That's not their job description. But he did. So I have a hard time because what he said to me at the meeting in front of everybody, and I asked him, is not what happened. And so everybody has a right to vote, but when I vote no, I want the reason to be out there so people will know, because I don't think he was credible. He didn't tell me the truth.
Well, there wasn't, and it was presented to everyone that those numbers, as they were approved, were like some sort of a facade, and he presented it in a nice way, the way he spoke about it, and they were all fictitious numbers, if you will. Those
Well, that's a
numbers
pretty
were
big, that's a
represented
pretty
big.
big accusation you just
It is
made.
not an accusation, it's
It
what he
is, it's not
portrayed to
paid.
us. And
Yeah, you're
what he
saying that.
said was that those numbers were inaccurate. They were grossly inaccurate. That's
But
what
you just
he
said they were fictitious.
Well, grossly inaccurate.
But he also said he
The
wasn't,
term
he
used.
wasn't gonna do that, and he did. And so people can vote however they want. When my no vote comes out, I just let it out there that I'm not against Nick, I don't even know him, that I feel that, he didn't tell me, he didn't follow through on what he told me.
Call the roll?
Olivia Quintero,
Yes.
Vito Campanelli,
Yes.
Winifred Rodriguez,
Yes.
Shannon Johnson,
No.
Marge Judison.
No.
Sharon Anderson.
No.
George Torres.
Yes.
Chairman, you can approve.
Motion passes. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting at 9:46 p.m.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote yes.
Vito?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so,
You end it. I'm gonna need you to sign, because you're not here, I'm gonna need you to sign some stuff. Are you ready to go in? Actually, to be in the morning, Stacy.
What?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you need it? Well, and I'm gonna do it so much. I'll be like, oh, I think I'll make.
It is so hot in here, and I know you guys probably don't have